Hey, and welcome back to the number one podcast in the world, the Cellarcast, episode 202? 202. I was gonna record this earlier, so so I usually have a story, I usually have an excuse about why I don't record the podcast more often, but this time it's actually kind of funny. Um, I was gonna do this at least yesterday. However, for one, I ended up recording the script for the next video. Oh my god. I don't know if you guys can hear that outside. I ended up recording the script for my video, and that took like an hour and a half. And also, we had the threat of nuclear war with Iran, which happens every so often these days. And I'm going to be honest, I was like laying in bed and I thought, should I do the podcast now? I have a free moment. Should I do the podcast? And I thought, I really I really don't want to die in a nuclear explosion recording a podcast. I think that would be the most embarrassing environmental storytelling skeleton to be. Like, if they made a Fallout game in Los Angeles, you would walk into someone's apartment and they'd be podcast. Well, in the 50s, maybe not. But if they made a Fallout game where the bombs dropped in 2026, you would walk, and it was set in Los Angeles, you would walk into someone's apartment and they'd be a skeleton at a chair with the microphone, with a blue yeti, and like the cat ear headphones, and you'd be like, oh yeah. And I don't want to be that skeleton. I think it would haunt my ghost. I don't think I'd be able to leave purgatory. I don't think I'd be able to leave the earth. It would bind me to the earth as a ghost. I would be so embarrassed about the way that I died, or at least what I was doing. Like, maybe that's, see, no one ever considers this whole idea of like ghosts, they have unfinished business, and that's why they can't leave to the afterlife, right? But what if it's just like sheer embarrassment? What if it's actually just that they died in really mortifying ways? Well, literally mortifying. uh, where it's like maybe all the ghosts around us are like freaks who died during like crazy bondage sex where they were spinning around on like some kind of contraption, and they died and they're like, oh dude, they're gonna find my body like that. Anyway, I've been doing quite a bit of stuff in the in between. Not all of it is that interesting for the podcast, and some of it I've been playing a lot of games recently. A lot of games, many of which you will find out about on the upcoming video. So check check that out when it drops in like a week. Oh God, can I get it done in a week? I don't know. I'm actually dog sitting for my mom right now, and unlike my beautiful soundproofed room, or no, it's more just that my room tends to be away from the noise. One of the other reasons I didn't want to record is that my fucking neighbor was going crazy with the power washer yesterday. I was like, ugh. But I'm here now. I'm dog sitting for her, and I figured, what better time than now to record an iPod broadcast, which is what podcast stands for. So I'm gonna try to do noise cancellation or some noise reduction on this, but I'm sorry if you could still hear the super loud sound of cars going by. There's really not a better place to record in this place. Um, anyway, we didn't have any questions in the comments from last time. We had some discussions about different rogals, which is a term that a friend of mine has really taken to. I think it's a good term. That and procedural generated content. I want to talk about an article that came out that I think is really, really prescient. There's been a fair amount of news in recent days related to layoffs and the like, but there was actually for a little bright spot of industry news, there was a cool interview with none other than Daisuke Ishiwatari, of course, of Guilty Gear fame, of Arc System Works fame. He did this with Automaton, And this is in the wake of a new Arc System Works putting out some new non-fighting games. I don't know if you've noticed, but recently they've been publishing and developing some in-house titles that are kind of like interesting small projects. They had Demon and Baby, which a lot of people, that was like their showcase reveal at a little like stream event that they had, and people were not excited about it. But the game, I don't know, it seems fine. I don't know. Some people will probably I haven't really checked it out. It has a demo. You can go check out Damon and Baby. There's a bunch of Guilty Gear characters in it, but they're like not exactly the same versions of them. My friend introduced me to this term they called XPs, which apparently comes from Honkai. I've heard the term XP as like a character showing up in something and it's like it's them, but it's not literally the exact same character. It's like a different version of them in something else. Anyway, they also recently put out Goritaire or Gorichi, which is like a weird. It's based on an existing card game in Japan, and it's Gorilla Solitaire, and it's way more complex than it sounds. I downloaded like the app that gives you where it's free. You can pay $5 for the full version, and it's like a interesting resource management game where you're trying to place, you get like a hand of gorillas and bananas, and you're trying to place the gorillas down on the board, and you're trying to get like 7 gorillas on the bottom row, but every gorilla you have consumes a banana, and then you only have so many bananas, and there are ways to generate bananas, but they also require more gorillas. It's like honestly a very, I did not get it. I've probably played like 30 games of the same level with the same deck. That's like the first one. And I have not beaten it a single time. I've gotten kind of close once. And it's genuinely difficult to wrap my head around. And it really tempts me to buy the full version because I want to crack it. I want to understand fucking Gorilla Solitaire. Anyway, they've been putting this out, and we now have a little more context for it, which I think is actually some good advice for the rest of the industry. Basically, Daisuke said that spending decades working on one thing only to realize you can't do anything else. It's one of the dangers of modern AAA development. He calls it overspecialization. So basically, he talks about a couple things in this interview, but one thing is this trend that he's noticed where we all know games nowadays, a lot of games, especially the big budget ones, just take forever to come out. Like, there are really long dev times on a number of games coming out. And there's still plenty that have like 2 to 3 year cycles, which I think is the new normal. Back in like the 80s, you could crank out a game in a few months, maybe a week, depending on the scale. They used to just dump Atari games that were made in a weekend. And then gradually over time, development needs have increased as technology gets better, and it's gone from it's like 1 to 2 years, 2 to 3 years. Typically, I'd say, I think in an ideal world, 5 years would be the absolute longest. That's like you're making a GTA or an MMO where you got like 100+ people on the team, and that to me is like should be the maximum in a healthy, productive industry. But we're seeing these games with really long dev times, and also a lot more of the live service games. And that leads to this situation where someone's working on a game for like 10 years doing a very specific job. And let's say that you work at Epic, and you're the guy who did something on Fortnite, and you got laid off along with 999 other people, which they just did, which is fucking crazy. And now you're looking for another job in an already tough economy, in a very competitive industry where a lot of, especially big companies, hate paying you if you have experience. But also, you go in for an interview and they're like, okay, so what can you do? And you're like, I can make Fortnite. I can do this very specific thing within Epic's development pipeline. And they're like, okay, well, you have a lot of experience, but it's very specific. Maybe you could learn on the job, but we've got a project that has some different needs. And you could learn on the job, or we could get someone who actually has experience doing that thing. And it's like differences in it can be like everything from kind of soft skills, so to speak, all the way to, I literally have not used anything but the Unreal Engine for the last 10 years. I don't know how to work in something else. I don't know how to use anyone else's engine, even the non-proprietary ones. Oh, hey, doggy. Okay, he's walking up. He's walking around. He's an old dog. He's an old dog, so he just kind of wanders around sometimes. Um, and this is essentially what Daisuke is warning against. So it's pretty clear. He said this several times before, like when they revealed Damon and Baby. He basically has a little program within Arc System Works, which is like a mid-sized developer. And he has these programs where he wants to grow talent, actually grow talent and give them a variety of experience. So this kind of new MO within the company is like, okay, we're known for certain games, like we're known for our fighting games, right? But we shouldn't pigeonhole ourselves into just being the fighting game guys. So let's get some younger designers and directors who have ideas, and let's just have them make a bunch of smaller projects in like a wide variety of styles, that they can crank out in like a year or two. And that way, instead of working on one game in one genre for 10 years, after 10 years, they've now worked on 8 games. And they have all sorts of like diverse experience doing different kinds of things. Oh, I might have to take him out in a second. You good boy? Oh, he's barking. Oh, he's barking. his name is Aiko. He's It's okay, little man. I don't know what he. Oh my god. Hang on. Okay, he did not want to go outside. He just wanted to come in and bark and sniff around. And now he's doing his wandering around thing. Okay. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, so the interview. Yeah, he basically says as much. It's very dangerous, this is a quote, to spend decades doing highly specialized work only to realize later that you're no longer capable of doing anything else. You'll find yourself at a loss when the project you're working on hits a rough patch, and even if you quit your job, your chances of finding another one will be slim. He also pointed to a long-running industry joke about developers spending entire projects, quote, just placing grass on maps, highlighting that it may be closer to reality than humor in today's development environment. Over time, this erosion of versatility, in his opinion, reduces creative opportunities. People join game companies wanting to create their own signature work someday, but in today's market, those opportunities are extremely rare. With Damon and Baby, Ishiwatari intentionally changed the workflow to give the team members more agency and hasten development. For instance, rather than creating detailed character models and making careful revisions, they, quote, only prepared a single rough sketch and left the rest to the modelers. And instead of splitting the roles of modeling and motion, the modelers were also trusted with entire characters. This approach positively impacted development and allowed the staff to gain experience outside of their primary field of work. He says compared to dividing tasks, it made giving instructions easier, and since they understood the character well, it was easier for them to come up with ideas and make revisions quickly. So this is like a really neat little anecdote where um, it's essentially putting the lesson, I guess, is they had the confidence to give their developers control and influence over the, like, as they say, give them more agency, and not having to split up. We don't need necessarily a modeler and an animator. Maybe you can do both, and they got more interesting stuff out of that because the modelers understood the characters. They had a hand in really creating them in game. They then have a good idea of like where the joints are, maybe, or where the all these different points of articulation and what they can do with the model. Um, and I'm sure that there's a ton of like interesting little lessons they could give about like, hey, maybe I made a character model that was seemed fine, and then I tried to animate it, and it was a huge pain in the ass. Uh, so now I know like how to make character models in the future that are easier to animate. And that's not even like for them. If you just stay a modeler, that now allows you to work with the animators like in like a different position much easier. Like you could actually work with other people. Now, all of this might seem obvious, but I think that one of there's an issue that you see in AAA game development of, I hate to say overstaffing, but that's what you see in developers like Ubisoft, where you hit this point where you need like managers for the managers. And yes, certain projects are going to require a lot of people. They're just going to be very big and demanding, but there's really something to be said. There's really something to be said about something smaller and more focused, and that people are actually quite adaptable, and that if you hire good people, they can learn new roles and new things. They can actually learn on the job. Also, if you're training younger staff, it's good to give them this kind of adaptability and the ability to think on their feet and be comfortable in new situations. There's like, okay, I can't confirm this. I'm going to say that this is a super rumor right now. This is like Reddit comment level rumor. But I did hear an anecdote about the new Prince of Persia remake that got canceled because the team at Ubisoft uh, did not know how to make games that weren't like Assassin's Creed Far Cry. They didn't they were so deep in that pipeline for games that they adapting themselves to like a 2D linear action game was just like, I don't even, how do I even approach this? Um, I don't know if that's true, but you should treat it like it's true in your mind when you act. Replace it with generic whatever. But I think the lesson is real. I think the lesson is real. Um, it's really funny. There's that post that goes around, which is like, I want shorter games with worse graphics made by people who are paid more, and I'm not kidding. And I think about, people say worse graphics. Here's something funny. Saying that something looks like a PS2 game it's been an insult for as long as I can remember. But, you know, on my friend Prox's stream, we did this whole series where we played through all of the first four Silent Hill games, all the actual Team Silent entries in the series. And I remember when we booted up Silent Hill 2, we got like, was it 2 or 3? I think it was 2. We got like, you know, 10, 15 minutes in, and I just said, man, this game looks really good. This game really holds up well in the graphics department, and it's like an earlier PS2 game, I think. By the end of that console's life cycle, you can get stuff that looks really, every console in the back half of its lifespan gets stuff that looks much better as developers learn how to use the resources of the hardware better. And I look at that. I look at like there's a lot of games for the PS2 that have aged really well graphically. I genuinely think maybe not exactly that level. Like, okay, let's step it up one notch. Let's say something from like the PS3 or 360 era, because at least that's HD. Because I'm thinking of like, could you make something that looks exactly like that today? Maybe if that was a stylistic choice, but like, I think that the general standard might be closer to like an HD game that has probably more robust use of uh you know reflection maps and normal maps and things like that weren't as common back then, where a lot of details are like baked into the textures, which honestly like still looks pretty good in a lot of cases depending on the art style of the game. But yeah, just something of that level I think is I think that would be fine. I think that would be fine. I don't think that you need to go crazy on I don't think you need to go crazy on the budget to make something that looks acceptable, passable, especially these days where people are getting into all sorts of games that don't have the best graphics in the world. We've on it ever since 2014 ish. We've kind of hit this point where yeah, the big hyper realistic graphics in the blockbuster games, that's still a draw to a lot of people, especially like more mainstream casual gamers. But there's now a much wider circle of people who are perfectly. There's a whole generation raised on Fortnite. There's a whole generation raised on Fortnite. And they're or League of Legends, and those games do not have realistic art styles. They're more receptive to things like that. That's kind of a side topic compared to the staffing and the specialization thing, but I think there's a bit of overlap. I think that a reduction in I think we will be forced to see a reduction in scale due to the current industry crash. Um, hey, maybe that'll be a positive that comes out of this. That in a few years' time, the industry will be forced to adopt healthier development pipelines and protocols and stuff like that. That would be nice. I cross my fingers. I wanted this to be a positive segment. Honestly, I'm looking at the not the titles, the topics today that I have in my notes, and I'm mostly positive. Actually, I'm mostly positive on stuff. Let's talk about something that I watched that I am quite positive on. Project Hail Mary, the new Lord and I was surprised this is a Lord and Miller movie. The new Ryan Gosling approach. Personally, I'm waiting for him to turn into Ryan Goose. So, Project Hail Mary, it's based on a book by Andy Weir, who is the same guy who wrote The Martian, which was adapted into the Matt Damon story. And he's like a real ass scientist. He's like a real ass space scientist. If only they had a word for something like that. And his books are. This is kind of his style, at least with these two books, which is. Um, you could call it science fiction. It is definitely science fiction, but heavy on the it's fiction science. It's heavily based in his real world expertise knowledge of astrophysics and stuff like that. Which lends oh my god, he's barking. Oh, there's a fly in the room. That's why he's barking. Oh my god. You good, boy? Oh my god, he doesn't like the fly. Okay, he's up on the bed now, and I changed his diaper. Oh, hey there, boy. Okay. So the basic premise of Project Hail Mary, I'm actually a little bummed. I think that the marketing on this movie, I think it was effective, but I kind of wish I hadn't seen it. I hate seeing movie trailers now because I feel like they all ruin the movies. But or they make them look bad. I didn't think Project Hail Mary looked bad in its trailer, but I really wish that I had not. I wish I had not known that much about it. And if you have managed to avoid any trailers for it, I would actually recommend going to see it because there's some really interesting twists. It starts out as one kind of movie, and then like maybe an hour, not an hour, maybe 30-40 minutes in, it feels like a little bit in, it changes significantly. And there's an interesting twist, but it's revealed in the marketing, which I was a little bummed about. Because it's clearly written in a way where you are not supposed to understand all the information you're given in the trailer at the start. Like, you're supposed to piece it together. It starts with Ryan Gosling waking up from a coma in a spaceship, and he has no memory of why he's there or what's happening, and he has to piece it back together. That's like the first bit of the movie, and this is interspersed with flashbacks to give you a little bit of context. So there's almost throughout the movie, there's kind of this parallel storyline going on. I don't know if the book is structured like this, but the movie has this parallel storyline where you have, let's call it present day, with him in the spaceship doing the main plot of the movie. And then there is the flashback storyline, which is him basically why he got there in the first place. Because they really are like two different stories with their own beginning, middle, and conclusion, and one leads into the other. But just seeing it, I understand. I think it's a good decision because just seeing all the stuff on Earth beforehand and then leading in might be, I don't know, it might make it feel a little long. It's already a very long movie. So I think interspersing these two stories at relevant points, like something will happen on the spaceship and you'll get a flashback to part of the Earth, the prequel, let's say. Um, I really enjoyed this one. I think I said that. The basic setup is that he is on this spaceship because he is going to a far-off star in the Tau Ceti system, because the Earth's sun, along with tons of other stars in the galaxy, are dimming at a rapid rate. They are not undergoing the natural life cycle, like the natural death of stars. It's like something is draining their energy, and they notice some kind of dots. They call them dots. There's just these things that they can observe moving from Venus to the planet, to the sun. Sorry, from Venus to the sun. And so they get some samples back, and Ryan Gosling is a. He used to be like an astrophysicist, and he had this kind of kooky theory about non water based organisms. And then he kind of got laughed out of the scientific community, and now he's like a middle school teacher. Uh, they need to get everyone they can to give input on this. So they get Ryan Gosling, and they're like, hey, well, what do you think of these things? What do you think of these samples? And well, honestly, one of my favorite parts of the movie happens in this flashback. I think that what's nice about this being written by an actual scientist is that, and it makes me want to watch The Martian too, it's that a big part of Project Hail Mary is just how fun it is to learn things. That, like, experimenting and making discoveries is fun. There's this whole great sequence about Ryan Gosling's character studying these little organisms, or whatever they are. They find out that they're organisms. Surprise, surprise. Uh, studying these little organisms, doing tests. Like he cuts one open, and like it's not dry. It's made very fun. The Lord and Miller humor comes through. The humor isn't like, I would say it's pretty tasteful. That's might be a weird way to put it. But the humor is it's there to just it keeps the pacing up. You feel like these people have a real sense of humor, or it comes from the sort of clashing of personalities. He's really excited about this stuff, but the way he communicates it to just like government officials is like he's kind of on a different. They're on different wavelengths. Um, and some of the humor comes from that, or him, just like differences in personality and stuff like that. And so I watched this with my mom and my grandfather, who is a scientist. My mom is very much not a scientist. I told her last year that the sun is a star, which was news to her. So that's like the position she's coming from. And Kat. And her relation to science is unknown. And my mom loved it, and she got really into it, and she understood what was going on. Everything was very well explained, so that a total layman, which like includes me, like I'm not an expert in astrophysics by any means. I took classes in school about, in middle school about astronomy, but that's kind of where it ends. It's all very understandable. The concepts are very understandable. They describe, okay, this is how these things work. This is what they do. Um, Here's how we're gonna do this and that, and it's all explained in terms that are very digestible. And it I don't know. It just makes the learning part fun when he's on the spaceship and when he's working through problems and trying to figure stuff out and study. Like the reason that he goes to Tau Ceti is because it's the only star that they can observe that seems to be unaffected by whatever is happening. And they're like, why is that? Um, so they send him there, and he's there to study the star. And as the marketing, okay, here's the thing. So now we're into spoiler territory. I'd highly recommend it. It's quite long. Kat thought it was a little too long. I didn't mind personally. I honestly, I kind of wanted to see more. I wanted to see what happened after the ending. um, the yeah, I liked it a lot. So tune out now if you're into spoil if you don't want to get spoiled. The Eventually, as the trailer is spoiled, he encounters almost immediately an alien spaceship. And again, like what I like about this movie is not just, I said, the learning stuff, but also I think on a broader set, broadly, it's more of that the film is quite procedural. You're walked through the steps of learning about these organisms. There is a whole like chunk of the movie dedicated to several scenes just dedicated to him making first contact, excuse me, with this alien aboard this ship. And then they learn they have completely different languages and ways of communicating. The aliens make these like resonant sounds is how I could describe it, which is, that's kind of just what speaking is. But because Ryan Gosling cannot make those sounds, uh, the way that they figure out how to communicate, they learn each other's languages partially. And one of the ways that he makes this little, basically like a speak and spell text to speech thing that will automatically translate the alien's language for the audience's sake. But it's, they go through enough of the process of him doing this that it doesn't feel like too much of a cop out. I get that it would be very it would be very it would be it would be ballsy to have them communicating in an alien language, like half the movie. I remember when I read Enemy Mine, which is also about an alien and a human learning to communicate with each other. There is actually a lot of that short story is dedicated to how the language works and a bunch of things like that, because it's also about like cultural exchange. But after a certain point, they just start writing the aliens. The author just starts writing the aliens' speech like in English. It's like, this is what he said. So, uh, yeah, but it's cool. I like it. I like the alien. It's like a weird rock thing. They're made of like xenon. They're made of solid xenon, or they're like xenon based life, which is a nice little uh wraparound. What would I call it? A bit of like catharsis for the main character, because everyone was like, non water based life. Are you crazy? And then they find these weird little dots that are eating the sun. It's called the astrophage, which are based. They're water based life forms. And he's like, God damn it. But then he meets Rocky, who is from a non-water based planet, or non-water based species, and so that's like a nice little wraparound. And yeah, a lot of the movie is on top of just the procedural of the problem solving and all that, and the science and the learning. It's also one of the really heavy themes is about working together. There's this um, really nice. It's a really feel good movie that I think goes through enough trials and tribulations that I felt like it always earned it, because there's a lot of hardship and struggle in the film. And through it all, there's this really bright feeling that, like, even though they're from two different species, from two different star systems, with two different languages and cultures, they both have this common goal. They need to save their stars. And eventually, despite being so completely different that one is literally not even a water-based life form, they're able to unite over something very, very, very common and empathetic. So like unity and coming together, working towards a common goal, cooperation, just like a lot of really nice positive themes that I like a lot. Um, they find the ways that they're similar. There's a lot of ways in which they're different, and I don't know. I really enjoy the whole aspect of two totally different people from different species learning to understand each other and becoming like true friends, becoming true, like, there's a real like loving friendship between them by the end, where they like risk their lives for each other. It gets crazy. It feels rewarding. There's some really beautiful moments in this film. You can tell that it's made by like the original story, and the people who adapted it really have a lot of love and reverence for space. Like, this movie's gonna make some astrophysicists or astronauts. Like, I can assure you. Um, just like this outer space is depicted as this, just this vast, endless expanse, but there's interesting, beautiful things in there. I think one of the best scenes in the movie is when they have to go to the orbit of a nearby planet to pick up what is it, samples of the astrophage that are coming off of it. And the astrophage are usually essentially invisible to the naked eye, but they they're visible under like a UV light or something like that. They're visible with like no, it's an infrared filter. And when Ryan Gosling goes out to like capture some of these astrophage, he's just like standing. He's doing a spacewalk on the outside of the ship, and this suddenly it goes from the, I guess, regular view to there's an infrared. You see the infrared light, and it's just like this reddish pink glow everywhere, and he's just completely surrounded by these invisible beings that are passing by him, and it's almost like turning on your like a sixth sense and seeing like all of these. It's almost like spirits flow in this that he's caught in the flow of. It's just beautiful scene. They make space look awesome in this movie. And it happens to coincide with we just orbited the moon again, which is cool. Uh, yeah, there's it. I don't know. It's a feel good movie that I think really earns it. It's really fascinating. I found it really engrossing emotionally. It's it's very triumphant. It it's about cooperation and working together. And honestly, by the end of the movie, when they do get the samples back to Earth, I really wanted to see what happened afterwards. Dude, there's a fucking car alarm going. Dude, I'm trying to talk about Project Hail Mary, and the fucking street outside is so loud. Hi, Aiko. He perked up because I'm yelling. It's okay, boy. I'm gonna fucking okay. I'm gonna pause until we're done. I recommend Project Hail Mary wholeheartedly, especially if you can go see it in the theater. It's a really fantastic visual experience. Great performances by Gosling and that Rock. I don't know where they got that Rock, but he's going places. Okay, that thing was ringing for like 10 minutes. Anyway, we're talking about another space movie now. Mario Galaxy, which is the most negative I'm going to be, hopefully, this episode. Um, so Kat made me go see this. I was not very interested in watching the Mario Galaxy movie after the first one. And so we watched it, and we walked out, and about 10 minutes later, we were walking back home, and I was like, damn, we really have nothing to say about that, do we? I feel much the same way about the Galaxy movie as I do the first one, which is there are movies where I think that the animators and the storyboarders had a lot of fun. And the writers went, it's the Mario movie. Who cares? There's a kind of like, yeah, that's how I would describe it. There's a kind of carelessness about this film where I can see the stitching in between every plot point in a way that is it feels like the whole film kind of feels like a charade, that it's just kind of there to everything that happens is just to get to the next thing, and there's not much of like a meaning to any of it or a purpose. I think immediately of a moment in the middle of the movie where Mario and Luigi and Toad and Yoshi. No, Toad's not there. It's just Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi, and then Bowser's there. He's little Bowser, and he turns into Big Bowser. He gets big again, and for some reason, Bowser has decided that he actually wants to be nice because he wants to set a good example for his son. And he's like, Bowser Jr., we gotta go find Bowser Jr. And they walk and they're technically on the B planet from Mario Galaxy. And they walk in and the Bee Queen is like, you destroyed my flowers when you crashed the castle here. It's a long story. When you landed here, you destroyed all my flowers. I'm gonna enslave you. And then for some reason, Bowser says, no, no, no. I will take I will take the punishment in Mario's place. You go on ahead, Mario. I'll be a slave. And then he's like working in a chain gang with a bunch of other bee slaves. And I looked at Kat and I said Koopa Kinte, which was the hardest that she laughed during the whole movie. And a part of me was like, why is this happening? I know why it's happening. It's to split Bowser up from the other characters, but it makes no sense because, like, his motivation at that point in the movie is to see his son. That's the whole reason he was being nice to Mario. Like, this is genuinely the scene right before. It's Bowser getting big and being like, no, I'm a good guy now for this reason. Let's go find my son. The next scene he's in, he drops this motivation so that Mario can go see Bowser Jr.? Why? It's so that they can split him up from the main group so that Bowser Jr. can abduct him. And then he turns into a bad guy again because Bowser Jr. likes being a bad guy. And it's what? No, he likes being a bad guy because that's actually what being bad is like a good thing. And earlier in the movie, he says that he wasn't a good dad to Bowser Jr. and he wasn't very present. And like, and then you get a flashback and he's like this loving dad doing like an entire song and dance puppet show to his son before he goes to sleep, which he apparently does every night because Bowser Jr. says, "Can you tell the same one from last time?" And then Bowser does that. And it's like, maybe it's just his perception that he was a bad dad. But like, what is it? Like, what? It's just, it feels like no one gave a fuck when they were writing the movie. Like, no one gave a shit when they were writing the movie. Characters just do things and change on a dime for seemingly no reason. They go to places so that they could go to places. It honestly felt like it had less references this time than the last one. Like, less little references. It had less sight gags, which is what I really liked in the first one. That was my favorite part, was just, it felt like the animators put in some funny little bits. This one had many fewer of those. There's like one funny reference joke, which is that Rob is really slow when he turns around. And I was like, haha, I get it. There's not a lot of locations from the games when they're on Earth, I guess? Mario Earth. They go to the place from Odyssey. They go to the desert level from Odyssey, which, by the way, Mario in a poncho, that's 1 million Mexicans' profile pictures for the next 15 years. That was an incredible decision. Incredible decision by the art team. But then once they actually go to space, it's like you go to the B galaxy, which is, it doesn't even look like the actual B level. And then like the one at the ending, like Bowser's castle, Bowser's planet from Galaxy. It looks like that, and that part's fun. There's a bit where the Koopas are in a roller coaster that goes into lava. It goes in and out of lava, and they come out in their dry bones, and like that was cute. There's some neat visual stuff with Bowser Jr.'s paintbrush. I like that. It's one of those. It's kind of like, you know how Venom is this enduring character, and I genuinely think a lot of Venom's popularity comes from the fact that his body just like morphs into different things, and people think that's cool because it's always cool when you have like the shapeshifter morphing into different weapons character. He does that, and there's some neat action sequences using the brush and it changing shape and all that, and different weapons, and him painting on the ground and making like a piranha plant. There's a scene. There's very little Rosalina in this movie, which is a little odd because it's the Galaxy movie. This has been spoken about a lot. She basically just gets kidnapped, and then Bowser Jr. makes like restraining goo that like covers her, and that was pretty cool. But that never hit nothing like she's just in like a fucking jar for the rest of the movie, and it's like, what does she do? There's a weird plot twist that she's actually sisters with Peach. So that's is that does that count as a character arc? The whole movie is just like, it just kind of washes over you. That's how I describe it. It just washes over you. And by the end I was like, yeah, that happened. I have no desire to rewatch it. It barely made me feel anything. Fox is like a weirdly important character. He's like a main character. And he's constantly, as soon as he's introduced, he's just constantly getting like moments and bits of characterization. It's so weird. Is this like a backdoor pilot to get people to like Star Fox when they haven't done anything notable with the series in forever? Oh, I think I gotta let little man down. I think I gotta let little dog down. He's whining. Oh, he was thirsty. Okay. Um, yeah, it's just, I don't know. The whole movie just kind of happens. I can barely remember anything that goes on because it feels so unmotivated and artificial. Like everything that happens is, it just, it really is just stuff happening, and it's hard to, that sounds vague, but it really, there's no other way I can describe it. There probably are better ways I could describe it, but I also don't want to like devote the brain power to the film. And of course, it made a $1 William at the box office and beat it made more money than the first one. Kat called it worse, which I think is fair. It is fair. I don't have strong enough feelings about either of them to say that necessarily, but the argument is, yeah, this movie is definitely worse paced. At least the first movie, it was very cookie cutter, but it had like a structure and a character arc for the main character, and this one just kind of does stuff. There's some neat scenes. There's some fun action scenes. Again, you can tell that they had fun choreographing the action. There's some cute references. Mouser shows up. Is that his name? He's the little mouse guy. Birdo's there. There's a post-credits teaser with Daisy. I guess in the next movie they can do Wario. That would be fun. That might actually be a fun villain to have. Yeah, but Mario Galaxy is fucking whatever. Then I'm blazing through things. This one might actually be a short episode. Who knows? We watched a bunch of the Ted series. So I've never actually seen the Ted movies. I always just kind of saw them as like, okay, those movies came out when I was in middle school, and there is perhaps no greater bait for middle schoolers than Ted. Like, teddy bear who smokes weed? Come on, that's like laser targeted at like a 12-year-old, 11-year-old, right? And I've never seen them. I was never particularly interested. I never caught them or anything. I was never shown them, and I think Kat's seen them. But I was in the dark about the Ted franchise, really. And I figured, yeah, you know, Seth MacFarlane, he's doing his thing. But a few years ago, when the Ted show came out, I just started seeing clips from it. And again, when I heard there was a Ted show on streaming, I thought, oh, okay, whatever. That just seems like kind of like a filler thing. And then every clip I saw was just like the funniest thing ever. And I was like, is this show actually good? Is this show actually like funny? Uh and now that we're done with JoJo, we're all caught up, which I will talk about momentarily because it's going to be big and I need to get this other stuff out of the way. we're done with JoJo, which means that there's a big albatross that's off our necks, and we can actually devote time to watching other things. And we were like, let's actually get around to watching Ted. And there's only 2 seasons. I don't know if there's any plans for another one. I don't think so, and I mean, the whole premise is that the main character is in high school, and he's like a senior in the second season, so it could just be like a 2-season thing, which I wouldn't necessarily mind, although I would like more of the show, because I'm going to be honest, I really like this show. We haven't finished it. I think we have like one more episode in the second season. She's coming over later today to help me dog sit. And then we're going to watch that. Yeah, Ted is really funny. At least in my opinion. It reminds me a lot of early Family Guy, when it was actually written by Seth MacFarlane, who does not always hit. He's got some bad projects, and his sense of humor isn't necessarily for everyone. But I think that when he's funny, he's really funny. There's some really good... There's scenes in the Ted show that remind me, that feel like early Family Guy bits. So something that not a lot of people are aware of is that Family Guy itself actually grew out of Seth MacFarlane... Oh my god, stop honking. I'm so sorry, it's so loud. I don't even know if it's picking up on the mic. Seth MacFarlane did stand-up when he was in like college, and Family Guy was a way for him to do essentially his stand-up routine, the structure of a stand-up routine, in the format of a TV episode. Which is why Family Guy has all the cutaway gags. It's because the plot of every Family Guy episode, at least when he was writing it, was more of like a thing just to hang jokes on. Because it's like a stand-up act that might go into tangents or little side stories and all that. Like that was what it was based around. And there's some elements of that in Ted. The show generally follows a pretty standard A-plot, B-plot structure for every episode, and it's very episodic, although things do carry over from one episode to the next, and there are gradual status quo changes. But for the most part, it's like every episode is its own concept with an A-plot and a B-plot. And Ted himself as a character really reminds me of like the cutaway gag. He has the cutaway gag spirit, where he has this sort of privilege in the show where there's this bit of suspension of disbelief where if someone is off camera, they cannot hear anything that's happening on camera. And Ted has that power all the time. He basically has free action talking. He can say, he will turn to the side and make little comments constantly, and no one will really hear it. It's just basically for the audience. The character he's talking to won't even react. It's usually just someone for him to bounce off of. But I should get into the basic actual premise of the show. It's a prequel to Ted. A little boy wishes on a star, and his teddy bear comes to life, but oh, surprise, surprise, the bear is like a raunchy, wisecracking, Seth MacFarlane voiced character. And now they live together. He was like previously famous and then fell off. He was like a fad in the for like a year or two, and now it's just kind of him and his owner John, or his creator. I don't know what you consider their relationship. They're kind of like siblings slash like best pals kind of thing. And John's in high school. He lives in Massachusetts. He lives in Boston, Massachusetts, with his parents and his cousin. His dad is like Republican blue collar dad, where he's all it takes place in 1993. He's like a Reaganite. He's talking about the liberals. His mom is this very kind of meek, modest, like she's kind of a people pleaser. And his cousin is this college aged, I guess, like 90s liberal. That's kind of her her deal. She's more open minded and free thinking, and naturally clashes with the dad on certain things, but she's cool with John because she like smokes weed and stuff. And they kind of live in this semi-functional family system where they get into various low stakes misadventures. The plots generally revolve around really simple goals from with John and Ted, where they want to do things like, I think the first episode is they're trying to get weed. There's an episode where they're trying to they cook up a scheme to rent like porn movies from the DVDs from the VHS store. um, there's some other good. Oh, there's an amazing Halloween episode. That's a really good one. There's an episode where they play D&D, and they get Brennan Lee Mulligan. Can you believe it? It's him. I clicked on a video of Brennan Lee Mulligan one time, and my whole suggested feed was just flooded with like Brennan Lee Mulligan wisdom moments. And I was like, okay, look, he seems like a nice guy. I don't like him. I don't like him enough to listen to him like be wise. I'm fine. I'm good. But he cameos. Uh, I just okay. If I had to really describe the appeal of the show, it's that Seth MacFarlane's right, and there's a few co-writers, right? It's not all him, but generally, like, it's very standard. Again, like low stakes, normal life stuff that's happening, but he injects this kind of surreal element randomly into the plot. Like, well, obviously Ted is sort of a surreal element, but also, oh my god, Ted is like the Brian Griffin or Roger of the show, I guess. Um, wow, no, this is actually close. Isn't this kind of close? Does have a sort of a similar. He just really likes writing these family sitcoms with like a dad and like a female character that he like daughter-ish or younger character. In this case, it's a cousin that he kind of clashes with, and then there's like a kid and his weird sort of like supernatural friend. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, he injects these like weird surreal qualities to it that go beyond just Ted being a talking teddy bear, because like it does come up sometimes. Everyone just sort of is cool with it, which is kind of funny to me. Like they'll acknowledge that he is a living teddy bear, but they'll just he can just walk up and no one ever like gives him a second glance or anything. It's it's kind of just like funny background aspect of the show. Um, I mean that there's a lot of moments in the show where like John and Ted go somewhere, and while they're standing around, some weird fucking guy walks up. This happens frequently, and just has like a strange interaction. It makes me wonder, because MacFarlane is from the Boston area, and I have to wonder, are there just weirdos coming up to you like all the time in Boston? Are there just like cryptids like that? Like in the first episode, they go to the bank, and while they're standing, they're at like a vault that Ted has, or like a lockbox. And while they're there, the bank, like the branch manager is in the room with them, and he's like, "Did you know that Like, he's about to walk out, and then he stops and turns back around, and he goes, "Did you know that technology these days is getting so good that you can't even tell when someone's wearing an adult diaper?" And they're like, "Oh, is that so?" And they just have this really drawn out conversation where the guy, like, really strongly wants to imply that he's wearing a diaper. And it's just like stuff like that just happens all the time. There's a lot of just awkward, strange moments. There's an absurdity. There's just this like casual absurdity that just keeps happening. There's some great episode content. Like the second episode is that there's like this bully character, and John like tries to fight back verbally against him, and he makes a joke about like he makes a comment about like his mom or something like that, and the bully gets super tight over it, and then John finds out that the bully's dad walked out on him, and he's being raised by a single mother, and he's like, oh shit, let's exploit this to fuck with him. So they like prank call his number and pretend to be his dad who's like contacting him, and they play like a really mean prank on him. But then afterwards they start to get really attached to the idea. They try to have to come up with like a cover story, and through this whole process of pretending to be his dad, they end up actually like caring about him and taking on the role of being his dad, and like they're his actual parent, and they're trying to like do nice stuff for him while they're also fucking with him in this really crazy, cruel way. uh Naturally they encounter another weirdo character who's like this department store worker who never he's like still stuck. He peaked when he was in a performance of Pippin in like middle school, and he's never gotten over it. And he just like really awkwardly starts singing a heartfelt song from Pippin, and they just have to like sit there. There's just all this like weird stuff going on. Uh and that's the best part of the show, is that you're never quite certain when it's gonna hit you with a curveball like that. And I enjoy it quite a bit. Not every episode is obviously there's some better episodes, there's some less funny episodes, but the show gets at least two or three like big laughs out of me in every single episode. uh we were having a great time. It's also honestly like weirdly comfortable talking about serious subject matter. Like there's quite a bit of like there's a lot of family arguments. There's this running theme throughout the show where the characters, this I found this kind of funny because it's like they mention it a couple times that they're white trash, and I was like, man, well they live in a house. They live in a house with like two stories, and they have like two people that they're technically Ted eats as well, so they're feeding like five people, and the mom works from home. They're like a single income house, and you look around, and there's no like cigarette marks on the wall and shit like that, and you're like, I was like, what? I feel like white trash. I feel like I grew up way rattier than this, and I'm not. I'm not. I wasn't. And then I stop. I cut off this line of logic so that I don't feel bad about my childhood. But there's a lot of I mean, they're having real food at dinner. There's a lot of family arguments and clashes over like social issues, especially with the cousin Blair and the dad Maddie. But it treads a very fine line where it gets like a little uncomfortable because there's real conflict going on. But again, there's always like an element of humor and absurdity to it. Like there's a really funny episode. I hate to spoil it because it is really funny when it happens, but I will, just to give you an example. where it's around Christmas time, and Maddie, the dad, uh, feels like no one agrees with him. He's like, no one ever takes my side. Everyone's always against me. When he's talking about like the immigrants or something, and he has this like childhood dump truck toy that's all rusty and fucked up, and he wishes on a star just like John did, to give him someone who will back him up in the house. And his dump truck comes to life, and it's named Dennis. And the dump truck, it like talks, and it has a mouth and stuff, and it's like a cartoon talking dump truck, and it says he says just like the worst. He's like, oh, sorry, did I offend you, liberal snowflake? Like his whole deal is just haha. He just says like horrible things to the women in the house, just like a huge unpleasant jerk. But of course he thinks that he always backs Maddie up on everything. That's like what Maddie's perspective is. But then you kind of start to realize that actually his it's more a case of like Dennis is encouraging Maddie. He's kind of egging him on and making him like tangibly worse. Where you're like, oh, he's actually like a way more unpleasant character this episode, and it's something that they clash over, him and the rest of the family. But there's moments where it's like, Jesus, this is terrible. And there's a couple jokes every now and again, but just like the conversations are putrid. But there's like this, again, you can never take it. It's always cut a little bit back by the fact that it's like a fucking talking dump truck toy. And it kind of balances out. It lets it balance out, and it keeps things from getting too serious. And then by the end, there's like a funny conclusion and all that. And by the end of every episode, you feel good about it, and it's a good time. There's this detail I want to point out. So, speaking about like there's this kind of running thing that they're short on cash, or they're struggling to make ends meet. And remember, it takes place in 1993. During that Christmas episode, when they're opening presents, John, he opens up two. So we already know that he has an NES, because they're playing Super Mario Brothers early on in the series. John opens up two NES games, and I paused it to see what he opened up, and it was Street Fighter 2010 and Legendary Wings. And I was like, thinking about that little detail, which they don't even focus on the games. It's just like you don't even get a full view of them. You can just read the spines and like a bit of the cover in the shot. It's not a focal point at all. But I was like, I wonder if that was intentional, because it's 1993. The Super Nintendo has been out for 2 years. It's the hot new thing. Most game advertisements are probably going to be for the SNES. Most new games are coming out for the SNES. And yet, John is opening up NES games for a game that is Street Fighter 2010. I looked this up, is from 1990, and Legendary Wings is from like 87. So he's opening up games that are like 3 and like 7 years old, and he's like, these are awesome. And I'm thinking, oh, his parents must have gotten that out of the bargain bin. Which makes sense. Like, that's their Christmas present, is games that they got out of the bargain bin that are old. And like, that perfectly, it's actually such a good little detail, but I don't know if that was intentional. So I actually emailed the prop master for the show, who worked on this episode. I found his listing on IMDb, and then I went to his website and emailed him via the contact form and asked him, I described what I was talking about, and then asked him if it was intentional, and he hasn't gotten back to me, but if he does, I will let you know. Because I really liked it, and I'm like, if this was intentional, that was really smart of you, because it's like a shocking level of attention to detail. They could have gone with anything or made some kind of fake game box, but there's something that actually makes there's like a lot of thought put into it, if so. Yeah, but Ted, like, genuinely very funny. It's got a lot of great episodes. I like basically every episode. I don't think there's any true stinkers in it. Yeah, just not really what I was expecting, and kind of makes me want to watch the movies now. Okay. Now, I mentioned that we finished JoJo, and that what I mean to say is that we're all caught up on the anime. So I want to talk about the ending of Stone Ocean, because I did. It was honestly, I'm very glad that I did a checkup on the first 2/3 of Stone Ocean on the last episode, because finishing it, my thoughts honestly are really, really different. I'm actually really glad that we finished it. I had a lot of complaints last time, and a lot of things where I was just like little problems I had with the part that kept adding up and adding up. Things with the character interactions, the fights, the pacing, and the whole time I'm thinking, but I remember liking part 6. I know in my mind that this stuff, like, I liked part 6, and I'm not a part 6 hater by any means. It's not my favorite part, but I'm not a hater like some people are, or, have been. And then we get to the last, like, dozen or so episodes, and I realize, oh, this is why I like part 6. The last third of Stone Ocean is fantastic. It is so good that it fixes basically every problem that I had with the earlier parts of the story. Once they get out of the prison, and I remembered liking this part when I first read it, but man, this really enforced it, and the way that it's adapted and animated is just awesome. Once they get out of the prison, all this stuff starts to happen. So, first of all, you get... Remember how I was like, Poochie for most of this of Stone Ocean is kind of this boring character. He's just sort of like evil priest. And then you get his backstory with Weather Report, who also has not done very much of anything outside of his introductory arc. He's barely done anything in the show. You get Weather Report's backstory with Poochie, and it's like, okay, I get why Araki did not put this earlier in the parts, but man, once you get it, the level of intrigue for both of these characters spikes tremendously. Weather Report has such an engaging backstory. Kat called it, like, that episode where you go into their history together. Kat called that, like, the best episode in the show. At least of part 6, or like the most interesting episode so far. And it absolutely is. In the anime, they make a really funny change. If anyone's never read the manga, so when he wants to break up Wes and his sister, because there's this whole fucked up crazy thing about how the babies got swapped at birth, and Weather Report, who was named, real name was Wes Blue Marine. Weather Report ends up dating his sister, who he doesn't know is his sister, and Poochie, who is, what's her name, Perla? Yeah, Perla's sister as well. Sorry. They're all siblings. Wes does not know this. Poochie is like, oh my god, this is a disaster. I have to break them up. In the manga, the guy he went to hire to break them up is a member of the KKK, and it's actually like a full-on clan lynching. And it's kind of weird. It's Araki kind of pushing the limits of his knowledge of American culture, because Poochie is very obviously a black man. Now, the reason that they go to lynch Wes is that they find out that he's mixed race. Now, what's kind of weird is that, oh, he's mixed race and dating a white woman. I think that's specifically the problem. Because Poochie and Perla, and Wes are all mixed race. Their dad is black, and their mom is white. Uh, they take the KKK element out. They're just an unaffiliated group of racists who perform the lynching, which I think makes it a little better. Maybe to a Japanese audience, like, that made enough sense, but to an American audience, like, people get to that part and they're like, oh, what? And it's kind of distracting enough. It just feels weird because it's like Poochie is obviously black and they don't have a problem with him, I guess. It feels kind of weird. It feels kind of weird. It's believable enough if you think about it, but it's not the, I feel like an American author wouldn't write it that way. So they don't make them part of the clan. But honestly, that leads into what makes Poochie so interesting. And it's not just him, but also Poochie's backstory and what you learn about him and his relationship with Dio makes Dio more interesting as well. I think Araki does something really nice in giving Dio additional context that makes it. I honestly think it really elevates his character when you put it all together. But you really have to think about the series and like arrange things on the timeline to really start understanding it. Araki can be a surprisingly subtle writer, and I think that the way he develops Dio and kind of reveals aspects about him in part 6 is, it takes a little bit of interpretation and really thinking about what you're seeing. But Poochie, I think, is a really interesting character. So I guess I could start with Dio, basically, because it really leads in. One of the core themes of, or a running element in JoJo that starts in part 4, and it gets expanded upon in 5, and then in 6 it's a major theme, is fighting against fate. People, that fate, it's established in part 5 that fate is a fixed thing. Your ability to subvert fate is limited and special when it does happen. There's also kind of an idea, there's an implication that fate is almost like it is a force. It's an actual force of the universe. Like, Diavolo was someone who was given this power, this quite literally devilish power of King Crimson, to subvert fate. That is, in essence, that is symbolically what King Crimson does. It allows him to avoid the consequences of his actions, avoid fate, literally like sidestep it, exist in a different world for a moment. And almost as if in response, fate provides Giorno and his own Requiem stand, Gold Experience Requiem, to be a rubber band. Giorno is like the snapback to Diavolo's whole character. Giorno is like, nope, I am correcting your ass. So you get to part 6, and you learn all this stuff about Dio. And he's very different in part 6. Honestly, he's different in part 3. If you put it together, it's very consistent with his character. In part 1, Dio is this... Basically, he's this street urchin who always feels like he deserved better. Dio, the reason he hates Jonathan is because he's basically jealous. He's like, I was born into a dog shit life with a alcoholic, abusive dad. My mom walked out on me. I'm this street rat. No one respects me. Why do I deserve this? Well, Jonathan, that asshole, he was just born into luxury with a loving family and money and a dog. He lives in the beautiful countryside. Why the fuck does he deserve that and I get this? It's bullshit. And then when he finds the stone mask and turns into a vampire, it's basically like his reversal of fortune. And the reason he's like that in part 1 is he's just like high on finally feeling like he has true power. Like, there's all of these things. Dio's, like, motivations in Phantom Blood are, and kind of in part 3 as well, are really just power, because it's what he feels like he lacks. He was powerless growing up, and so all this stuff, like when he kisses Erina to take her first kiss, that's to gain power. He's trying to assert dominance over her and over Jonathan as well. And when she starts like washing her mouth out with mud, which is like one of the best moments in Phantom Blood, it's like one of my favorite little character bits in the series. He's so offended because it's like she's denying him power. When he gets the stone mask, he's now powerful and he could do all this shit. He just does crazy shit. He just kills people. He turns them into zombies. He makes these weird fucking chimeras. Because he just wants to control people and feel like he has agency over the world. So then, he gets defeated by Jonathan not once but twice. And even though he kills Jonathan, it's this like Pyrrhic victory, and he's trapped in the coffin for 100 years. And Dio's in that coffin for a really long time. And when he gets out, he's really different. Dio in part 3 is creepy and calm. That's what's so unsettling about him compared to Phantom Blood. He's like really calm and in control. And you get this sense that he is very confident. He's so confident, he barely has to express it. Until, of course, like the very end when he feels like he's gotten his absolute victory and he gets powered up on the Joestar blood and all that. Once he is out of the coffin. So here's kind of my interpretation. This is how I read it. Dio has a lot of time to think at the bottom of the ocean. And I believe that during this time, he came to the conclusion, this is kind of what's implied, he came to the conclusion that fate is fixed in place, and his way of coping with all of his own misfortune, his upbringing, his defeat by Jonathan, his second defeat by Jonathan, his way of coping is basically to come to this sort of enlightened understanding that fate is set in stone, that all of the big plot points are always going to happen no matter what. Fate will always conspire for certain things to happen. It is just a force of the universe, and there's actually nothing he could have done to prevent his defeat. No matter how hard he struggled, no matter how much he planned, there is no way that he could have stopped all those bad things from happening. And it actually gives him a sense of peace. He's actually like, okay, let's live with this for a while. Let's sit and think about this. And that informs the Heaven Plan. So, Pucci is this priest, and he's a really pious guy, obviously. He finds out that his sister is dating his brother, who they don't know that they're related. This is like by some crazy twist of fate, this crazy situation has happened. And Pucci's like, oh my god, I have to fix this, because they can't inbreed. But I don't want to break her heart. I can't tell her that they're related. So he goes and he hires this guy to break them up, which is it's very stupid what he does, but he was acting out of love. And in fact, the narrator even says, who do you think was correct in this situation? Who do you think... Because every single person acted out of love, except for, I guess, the racists. But Wes, Perla, and Pucci were all doing what they believed were right. And this horrible thing happened. Wes gets hanged. He almost completely dies. He by a miracle he survives. But Perla thinks he dies and fucking throws herself off a cliff and kills herself. It is an absolute disaster. And Poochie is wandering through the water, trying to collect her body. The collectors are getting her body from the search and rescue team, and he's just wading through the water trying to get to her, and he's having like a complete breakdown, and he's going over these existential. He's having this existential spiral where he's like, why do people meet? Why do things happen? Why does fate seem to conspire against me? How could I act with such good intentions? How could I act with love? And how could God punish me for this? How could God punish all these innocent people? And he thinks back to this meeting he had with Dio, where, imagine this, you're this priest who is maybe having some doubts about your faith. You're maybe having some doubts. And all of a sudden, this beautiful, compelling, supernaturally charismatic man appears to you. Literally named Dio, named God. And he gives you this little piece of advice. It's what Dio calls gravity, because it's like a force of the universe, that certain things are just bound to attract to each other. That gravity connects people, and gravity is why people are drawn together, and it's why things happen. The foundation for this is laid in like part 4, when what is it? Who is it? Hazamada says that stand users are just drawn towards each other. And now Poochie is thinking back to this moment. And he's in the water. There's literally, does he go underwater? I forget. But it's like baptismal imagery. He's having his second baptism now to follow Dio's philosophy. Dio basically appears back in his mind, and it's like, the reason all of this happened to you, the reason all of this misfortune occurred, despite your best efforts, is because of fate. It's because of gravity. It was just fated to happen. It was always going to happen. And that is very appealing for Poochie. It basically gives him this perspective that, of much like Dio, he becomes calm. It was just going to happen anyway. There's nothing that I could have done. So what is the heaven plan? Because you don't even find out about it really until near the very end of the show. Basically, the idea, which was Dio's idea, was, okay, if I have to accept that fate is set in stone, so will everyone else. I am going to, and you don't know how the hell he came up with this, I am going to perform this complex ritual to transform my stand into one which can accelerate time. I will accelerate the universe to the point that it basically collapses in on itself. And when it reboots, all of fate will be compressed together. All people will be aware of their fates. And, just like me, will be powerless to stop it. Everything will happen just as it did. But you'll know when you're going to trip over a banana peel. You'll know when something good is going to happen, when something bad is going to happen, but you won't be able to stop it. And this is what, I mean, the characters don't even really know what's going on. They just know that they have to stop Poochie. And I find that to be a super interesting motivation for a character. Poochie is basically carrying on his legacy. He's the last disciple of Dio. And he wants to realize a world where everyone has the same peace of mind that he got. Which I think is an interesting motivation for the character. A lot of JoJo villains tend to be people who kind of know that they're not good, and they just do shit anyway. But Poochie is honestly one of the first ones who genuinely, thinks that he's helping people. He genuinely thinks that he's helping people. Even though he's, fucking crazy. Yeah, you get a lot of, really nice interactions between the other characters. Honestly, and Weather Report hanging out is great. You get some really good fights. I think that Bohemian Rhapsody is fun. Sky High is pretty neat. Underworld I like a lot. The characters themselves, the Sons of Dio, who are like Giorno's fucked up mutant brothers, I guess, they're all kind of losers. I like Versus the most because it feels like he has some ambition, and that makes him a little more interesting. I forgot that he just gets super annoyed with Poochie, and he's just like, "Can you shut the fuck up?" It's very funny. And then the ending where everything actually resets. Major characters die. So if you don't know, um, the ending of Part 6 was not originally going to go that way. Part 6 was going to be I think he was planning on a much more conventional the heroes win ending. But while making it, he had basically a creative crisis where he Araki felt like he had reached the peak of his creativity, that he could not possibly come up with anything more interesting or fantastical or high concept as he had in Stone Ocean. And that was like really scary to him. That gave him a whole he went in like a spiral over this and basically felt like he had peaked. And so, as kind of a response to this, he last minute rewrote the ending so that the universe actually resets. And a lot of people don't realize this. The ending of Part 6 has nothing to do with Part 7. Part 7 is a totally disconnected universe from the one that we see at the end of Part 6. Really, the true purpose of the reset and then the second reset, when everything gets fixed, quote unquote, is to wrap up the essentially the Joestar storyline. What happens by the end of Part 6 is that Poochie Poochie kills Jotaro, Jolene, Hermes, honestly, he kills fucking everyone except for Emporio, which means that they will not because they died during acceleration, they will not be included in the new universe. Their fates are basically erased from existence. They go to the new universe. Emporio gets chased around by a priest in a prison, and here's the twist: it's not for sex. And then Poochie, because Poochie is the only one who can actually like act not according to fate, he Emporio does the little trick where he puts Weather's stand disc in his own head and gains Weather Report and kills Poochie, which like undoes the whole thing. Okay, sure. Okay, stand rules, the effects get reversed. In the new universe, a lot of people consider it a sad ending. In some ways it is. It's a little melancholy. However, it's actually a happy ending. It's actually a good ending for every character. The idea with the Irene verse, as it's called, is that every character has been reborn. Every character who died, specifically, has been reborn into a better life. So all of the stuff that happened earlier has still happened. Parts 1 through 5 have still occurred, basically as they did, but everyone who died, like Irene and Hermes and Anasui and potentially even Jotaro, have been reborn basically free of the responsibility of fighting evil. And we know this because Jolene's name is now Irene, which means she is no longer a JoJo. She might still be Kujo, but she's no longer a JoJo, so she doesn't have the sort of responsibility that's thrust upon them by fate to battle evil. She's no longer beholden to that. She and Anasui are gonna get married, and Hermes isn't in prison, everyone gets reborn into better lives. That was kind of the purpose, is just to wrap it up and give everyone a happy ending. And I think it's nice. It's beautiful the way that it's done. It's adapted really well in the anime. I think the fact that they end with roundabout is great, because we really went round and about. I'd already been spoiled on that it ended with roundabout. However, I was not spoiled on the final opening. I think I mentioned before that I hadn't even watched the openings past the first batch of episodes when I first went through it, and I intentionally avoided Part 6's later openings. I wanted it to be totally fresh. I didn't even know like what the villain version of the intro was. And let me tell you, that was a big pop off for me. I was so hyped when they start spinning around and it's all the previous JoJo's and we're back in the mansion spinning around. It's the shot from Sonochi no Sadame, but it's Jolene and it's Poochie. I was freaking out. It was really rad. It was so cool. The final Joestar versus, or the final JoJo versus the last disciple of Dio. It's so sick. Oh man, dude, I forgot how good Sea Moon is as a fight. That scene where she squares up with him, the shit with the Mobius strip, turning your body into a Mobius strip, is so cool. I love that long sequence where it's almost like Poochie is being stalked by Jolene because she has some way of beating his ability, but he doesn't know how yet. It's so cool. There's just so many good moments near the end of part 6. Jolene's actual last stand against Poochie is great. Her just stancing up in the ocean. The visuals are just so surreal and gripping, of like the water moving fast and the sun turning into basically just a spinning disc because it's moving so fast. It's so cool. It's so cool. Man, I really do like the end of part 6 a lot. The early bits of it, the early segments of it, have some problems that I discussed last time, but I think it really makes up for it with the ending. And it's such a shame that it got buried and probably had such low viewership, because I think that it really redeems itself by the end. So, yeah, we watched Stone Ocean. Also watched the first episode of Steel Ball Run. I have thoughts on the release schedule. Thoughts are namely why. So a lot of people have been blaming Netflix for the release schedule being so fucked. I think that they might have some part in it, but I think that a lot of people are also overlooking the role that the production committee plays in making decisions like this. The production committee, like, if you look at Netflix does not do this with all anime. They don't do it with any other anime. They don't do it with, they had Dandadan, right? They didn't do it with Dungeon Meshi, they didn't do it with Dandadan. It's just JoJo that is subject to these Nazi science experiments for some reason. And I think it has something to do with whoever the hell is funding the series, who has a stake in it. And it does annoy me and piss me off. But I wanna talk about Steel Ball Run for a bit. Just a second, just to touch on it. So the first episode is great. It's a great adaptation of the first dozen or so chapters of the manga. They shift some things around in ways that I think are fairly smart. They put Johnny's backstory, or at least some of it. You learn more about him later. Trust me. But you get his basic gist, his basic setup in the first episode, which I think is a good choice. Him and Poco Loco. You don't get Sandman's backstory, which I think is fine. You can tell that Araki had some very different plans for Sandman. if you look at him in the beginning of the story versus later on. And so I think that because he like disappears out of the story for a bit and then comes back and he's kind of doing a different thing. And I think we'll probably get his backstory closer to then as opposed to at the start and then he's gone for a bit and then it's like, wait, what is that guy's deal again? Poco Loco, if you liked Poco Loco in this episode, you will like him for the entire show because he's just like that, which is probably why they got his backstory out of the way. He doesn't show up all the time, but when he does, that he's doing his thing. That's his whole deal. The horse racing is awesome. I remember some people find the opening of Steel Ball Run slow. It can be if you're really looking forward to stand battles, which don't show up for a while. In fact, when Steel Ball Run was first being published, it wasn't even called JoJo's for many, many chapters until stands show back up. So they actually do some fun things. So the one stand that you actually do see in the early bit is Poco Loco's stand, and they remove that in the anime, which I think is a good choice because part 7 is really like it's a back to basics part. When Araki had his creative crisis, the whole idea with rebooting the series was essentially to get a fresh start. Let's take new characters in a new setting with none of the previous baggage, and let's go back to nature. That's what he called it. A return to nature. Let's go back to the countryside. Let me do something that is just kind of new and fresh. Let's go lateral. So instead of doing a lot of the stands in part 7, they don't hit the sheer heights of complexity or convolution that the ones in part 6 do. They're simpler, but they're cool. There's some awesome ideas. There's some amazing visuals that you get out of them. And it feels like he's growing and evolving instead of just making more creative. That was kind of his like goal. Make something crazier and more insane. Find these kind of other paths, I suppose, through storytelling to make something compelling. And he does that. There's honestly not that many stand fights in part 7 compared to previous parts. They're very simple. Most of them are not humanoid stands as well. And they have these very simple abilities that are used in really interesting ways. So I'm excited to see all that stuff, but that's for later. But oh yeah, that's why they I think it was a good choice to take Poco Loco's stand. You hear it, but you don't see it, which I think is important to kind of ground the focus a little more and make stands feel kind of special, kind of build back up to them. The horse racing is super fun. It's a ton of fun. They go into like the strategy of the racers. You really feel like it's this mad dash through the race, the course of the race. And I think that it's nice. It will not be the focus for very long. Eventually, after a little bit, it becomes more of a standard JoJo part, and you get more stand battles. The racing, you don't get as much intense horse racing stuff. But they adapted it really well in the early chapters. From the early chapters, where it's like the main action, and it's so much fun. I am very confident that by the end of part 7's anime, it will be a spectacular adaptation of some of Araki's very best work. Many people consider it his magnum opus. it's just gonna take a while, and man, I just wish that they had waited. I just wish that they had waited. I can do with a core structure where we get 12 episodes and then they say, hey, in 6 months there will be another 12 episodes. Okay, fine. Part 7 is very long. I just wish that the communication had been better. We knew absolutely nothing for weeks. It was crazy. And I wish it was gonna come out a little, I don't know. I wish it was faster. I'm impatient. But hey, I've read the manga. It's fine. I've kind of made my peace with it. And yeah, it's a great episode. I'm very confident in David Productions' ability to adapt the source material. They've done it beautifully so far. And I very much look forward to it. If you're antsy and you want to see where it goes, go read the manga. The manga is awesome. It's really, really good. And that's all I have for JoJo right now. Stone Ocean, good. Steel Ball Run, great. I'm looking forward to it. I will watch it as it comes out. Want to talk about some fighting games, some games that I've been playing and paying attention to. So Guilty Gear Strive had their big 2.0 update. Well, it's happening soon, as of when I record this. The patch notes are out, and we know a bunch of the changes they made. And I'm not just going to do a patch note review on the podcast. That might be a little boring. I will say I like the changes that Slayer got. I like that. I think a lot of characters got really interesting changes. I continue to be proven correct in my earlier statement where I said that the first 4-ish years of every single ArcSys game is just the most nonsense clown shoes balance decisions you've ever seen. That make no sense. It makes you wonder if there's fucking like lead in the pipes at their studio. And then like on the dot at the 5-year mark, sometimes the 4.5, who knows? They just go, oh, I get it now. And then they fix the whole game in like 2 patches. And that seems to be what's happening now. All of the changes they're making, I think, are pretty good. They have made a pretty impressive call to just straight up remove a major system mechanic. Wild Assault, which they introduced in Season 3, has been a problem mechanic for years at this point. It has received, I'm not kidding, nothing but nerfs. Nothing but nerfs since its introduction. It was just too good, and they are removing it in Season 5. Even though it's probably now in the best state it's ever been, balance-wise, there was a really interesting interview with the one of the lead designers, Ken Miyauchi, where he's very transparent, and he basically explained that Wild Assault was a mechanic that was introduced for a certain purpose that it failed at. It was meant to be for newer players to more easily convert into combos. And then it turns out that the mechanic had way more, like, newer players just felt intimidated by it because they were like, I don't know. I barely know how to use Roman cancel. I barely feel comfortable using that. Do I really want to give up my burst, half of my burst, to maybe, like, I don't even know, like, how I should be using this. Meanwhile, at a high level of play, it was really strong. It was incredibly powerful because of just how much reward it gave you on hit, and it also contributed to Strive's general power level, raising to a degree that they were not happy with. They literally said, "We think that there's too much damage in the game. It is built to be a high damage game, but it's too much. It's a little excessive right now, and Wild Assault is contributing to that in
in a problematic way. You just get too much off of a single hit. There's a real snowball factor to Strive's mechanics with like positive bonus off of the wall break, just regenning all of your resources super duper fast. And they were like, you know what, let's just cut our losses and actually remove it. They're replacing it with a new mechanic called Counter Blitz, which is much more, I think, new player friendly. You just say, hey, when you get the big ass counter hit, press forward and dust, and you'll basically get a wall break from almost anywhere on screen. If you're even kind of close to the corner, you'll get a wall break. It's I think it seems like it's not nearly as abusable at high level, but there's some nice niche cases for it. I think one of the biggest deals is that you can't actually, the opponent can't burst while they're getting hit by it. Meaning that if you are, there is definitely an application where you can be like, okay, I want the positive bonus off the wall break. I'm gonna get a big counter hit and do counter blitz, get the wall break, and try to snowball off of there. They also massively nerfed how much. Basically, they made you decide between, do I want all of the meter gain from positive bonus, or do I want the hard knockdown? Because you can only have one. Now, well, not necessarily. Positive bonus is severely nerfed if you broke the wall with a super, or like used meter. There's like scaling and the tension pulse, which is basically the rate you gain tension at, is now much more noticeable even while you're in positive bonus. So I think that these are like fair actual risk decisions, like judgment calls about what you want to focus on, and that's nice. I like that. Um, Again, a lot of respect for just saying it doesn't work, we're just going to remove it. That's very rare to see any developer do, to just take out a feature you've had for like 2 years now because it didn't work out. That's nice. So I respect that. I like most of the changes so far. It seems like the game is being pulled into a nice direction. Again, they kind of get it now. Jam. We also got a bunch of stuff about Jam. I actually played a bit of Jam back when I was first learning Plus R, before I eventually gravitated towards and found Slayer. So I've always kind of liked Jam as a character, just because she's like a really stupid, dumb gorilla rushdown character. And I think also continuing with the trend that started in season, I would say by the end of season 3, their adaptations of characters from previous games has improved a lot. Much can be said about the streamlining and dumbing down, let's say, of characters from previous games. Um, but ever since Slayer was the first one I really felt it with, I thought that Slayer was extremely well thought out. I thought that there was a lot of care put into his moveset and a lot of thought. He lost a few things, but he got new stuff as well. Um, a bunch of changes to his moveset from Exerd that I really liked. Like, really niche specific things. I love that you can actually combo off of 2H now. Stuff like that is oh my god. Like, I was playing the other day and I got like, I just thought to myself, man, ground bounce, getting a ground bounce on air 6H hit. Oh, they love me. They did that because they love me personally. I love that. That's from Plus R. And I felt like a lot of the characters since then were pretty well adapted from their previous incarnations, and while still being more streamlined and direct. So certain functions and things have been kind of collated together in a lot of cases. With Jam, I mean, I watch her starter guide and I'm like, yep, that's Jam. That she's doing Jam things. She basically has almost her entire moveset. It depends on what game you're comparing her to. But she's got like most of her moveset basically intact. She lost she lost like some of the follow-ups from her command dash. One of them has just been made into its own special move. She still has puffball. She doesn't have the cross through thing. She doesn't. The only real loss, honestly, was like her up kicks, her DP. But she has also gained. She has gained a command jump that she is immediately actionable, or very quickly actionable during. Her whole card system, where she charges up all of her kick-based specials, has been simplified again. You in previous games you could build up to 3 cards for each special. Now it's just 1, but I kind of get it. Like, the bonuses you got were like very incremental until you got the maximum like 3 card level up version of each special. It was like a little more damage, a little more invincibility. They were very minimal changes. Now it's just you power it up once and it's like the immediately obvious palpable change. I think one of the best indicators is that I haven't seen any Jam players upset about the changes to her. The biggest thing I've seen is that they changed a few of the inputs that she has, which honestly, even looking at those, I get them. So traditionally, all of the specials that she could power up were her kind of like kick moves, and they were all done with the kick button. But in order to power them up, you would do like down, down, and then another button. And so there was like, you had to power up her kick moves with like down, down, slash, and down, down, heavy slash, and down, down, kick. And it made it a little, I can see it being like a little confusing. They have now changed it so that the moves that you power up, the button you press to power up the special is the same one you use to perform the special. So her big dragon kick, I think it's done with slash now. You power it up with slash. Okay, cool. I feel like especially for an older player coming back to her, that's probably going to take some time to remember or adjust to. But for a new player who hasn't picked up the character before, I think that's actually a much more what I call it, intuitive change. So just like little things like that. It makes me very excited for how they're going to adapt a character like Robo-Kai. And anyone else, because we're getting 4 characters. We only know about 2 of them, though. But yes, Strive seems like it's shaping up it's moving in a really good direction. I think what most people don't realize, because maybe they haven't played older ArcSys games, or they haven't like played through them, or heard people who actually played through all the different revisions, but like Sign, when Exerd Sign came up, that game was fucked up. That game is kind of crusty and it's kind of a mess. Comparing Strive to like Rev 2 in its final patch is a little crazy. Like, these are not the same thing by any means. Yeah, so I'm really excited to play it. Check out the new patch. Check out Jam. I think all the changes they made with the additions to the UI skins are a great idea. We finally have cosmetics in Guilty Gear. That's really cool. You can play Soul with his the old Junkyard Dog Mark 1, I guess is what it would be. From the XX series that Order Soul had. You get Order Soul weapon, like that's really cool. They gave Jam her glasses from the concept art, which look great. Yeah, I don't know. The game's just cool. I'm very pleased with it at the moment. Another ArcSys fighting game that many people accused of being babied down. Okay, people people complain about Strive. Go play BB Tag. Go play BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. Come back to me and talk to me about dumbing down the game. Okay, I'm going to be totally straight up honest. I don't want to shame you if you like BB Tag. But I did boot it up. I'm sure it's fun. I'm sure it's got fun bullshit. I booted it up to check it out. And I tried out some of the characters that I know from like BlazBlue, and I was like, woof. These whoa. It's like a 3-button game. It kind of pretends to be a 4-button game. It's really a 3-button game. It feels like a 2-button game sometimes. It's extremely basically there's very little in the way of like Gatlings. Almost everything is done via auto combos. It's also like you can tell it was a budget title that they were doing to try to save the BlazBlue series, because it is a sprite dump game. Good God, they found ways to repurpose every bit of animation from those BlazBlue and those Persona characters that they could. So when you have a big crossover game with all of these different franchises that you're representing, how do you, and you are forced to use animations from previous games, how do you handle characters with really high concept movesets, such as every character in BlazBlue? And their answers are a little, well, it varies. So for instance, Hazama, whose main mechanic in BlazBlue was these like snake chains. He would shoot out these chains, and he could like grapple off of them for crazy mobility stuff. He could hook into the enemy and then like shoot towards them, or pull them towards him, stuff like that. He was Spider-Manning around. So how do they adapt that in BB Tag when you don't have a drive button? When you have attacks A and B? They work it into his auto combos. So all of his B attacks are him like shooting the chain out in different directions. And then doing the auto combo will do the whole sequence where he then like jumps toward the opponent and stuff like that. Asriel, who has the whole like system where he puts weak points on the opponent and then has these drive moves that pop the weak points for extra effects, does not put weak points on opponents anymore. Instead, several of his moves, like specials and parts of his auto combos, have points in them where if you double tap the attack button as the move connects, you will get a weak point version of the move, which is enhanced. So you're like, okay. And every character's kinda like this. Everyone's kinda like this. My main exposure to the game right now is just doing the combo trials. This is the first game in which I was able to do every combo trial for every character. I haven't done the DLC because I will not debase myself as to spend money on BB Tag DLC. But that's where I am right now. Rachel, who's always been like one of the most complex characters in BlazBlue, because her whole mechanic is the wind. She uses the wind and throws out these projectiles and then uses her drive to make things blow around, and it's like this whole physics thing with her. In BB Tag, during certain moves, you can press a directional button and make the wind blow, and it will push her and the opponent around. And it's like, okay, I mean, that's a version of the character that's kind of like her. Yeah, it's really weird to have characters from, like, Ruby in the game. Oh my god, I was confronted with the world's worst character select screen. I was thinking about the roster, and I was trying to think about it. I was reminded of getting flashbanged by it. I knew how bad it was. But man, using that thing is sucks. Talk about a UI and UX fucking disaster. Let's have every character in their own row on the character select screen. Okay. But we're not going to give enough space for every franchise, so there's only like room for 6 spaces, and then you have to scroll it horizontally in each row. And also, because having that for giving both players the option, giving both players the option to like control the menu, the character select screen at the same time and like move around would be completely impossible with that kind of a layout. Because what are they going to scroll back and forth on the same row? It doesn't make any sense. So now we have to give both players their own like side of the character select screen. They both get their own version. It's split in half. It splits the screen in half. They both get their own side. Which means that we don't have enough vertical space to actually show every different row. You have to scroll vertically now too. It's such a fucking mess. Like, I booted the game up, I just went, who is even in this game? You can't even see like 30% of the roster at any given time. It's absolutely insane. Who the fuck let this happen? Oh god. Anyway, the Ruby characters are kind of neat. They are the only new assets in the game. Everything else is just a sprite dump. I might be interested to play a little bit of it. I might play like the arcade mode and futz about in training mode. But yeah, at the moment, just doing the combo trials was enough for me. And hey, some of them were fun. I had a good time with some of them. Makoto's were fun. Tager always has fun combo trials. I find that I really like his combo trials in Central Fiction as well. Yeah, what a game. These are just like very general impressions of the game. If there's any BB tag lovers, any BBW lovers in the chat, in the comments, I would love to hear what you like about I'm sure there's fun. I'm sure it's a fun game. I know people played it. Oh my god, I remember picking up. I found a book in a library one time. It was how to become a professional esports player for dummies. That's real. There's how to be an esports ethelite for dummies. And I was looking through it, and it's such like a thing you get for your nephew. You know, it's such a thing, or you get as the nephew when they find out that you like, League of Legends or something. Because it's such an unserious book. It's like, decide which game you want to go pro in. And it's like, that's not really how it works. Generally, for most like traditional sports or any kind of like professional thing, if you're good enough to go pro, you kind of already know that. I don't think Michael Jordan woke up one day and thought, I think I'm going to devote my life to basketball now. He just always devoted his life to basketball. I'm pretty sure that's how it worked. So there's this whole section about different genres of games and what you could play to go pro in. And I'm not kidding you. I think they just looked at the Evo. They got things for different genres. And I think they just looked at the Evo games that year. And they were like, you could try going pro in BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. And I was like, you should not try going pro in BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. Dude, that's a great video, actually. Wait, that's a great, like, Drew Gooden video. Following the esports guide for dummies and seeing how far I can get? Wait, that's a fucking great concept. Alright, no one steal that. I'm copywriting that. No one steal that. But yeah, that's BB Tag. Simplified game, very silly game. I've seen more clips of TODs than I can count on my 10 fingers. So at least 11. Um, but probably some dumb fun. I don't know. It's got some fun combo trials. I'll give it that. Very easy though.
And finally, I want to talk about Smite 2. So I have been very public in the past about my hatred of the MOBA genre. I have not I I've been very critical of it. I have a lot of problems with the gameplay tropes of MOBAs, namely like the way that they handle advantage and snowballing and a lot of stuff like that. Um, and I they can have cool gameplay. Oh, oh, sorry. Cat is giving me live updates. She's taking the bus right now. Oh my god, she is not where I thought she'd be. The bus is revolting at the moment. You know what? I almost wish she was here now so she could tell me about she could give me bus stories. I'm gonna say apparently the they're taking a bunch of detours. I'm sorry. I'm gonna. Oh, anyway. Um, my usual problems with MOBAs lie in the way that they kind of a lot of the just the standards of how they handle things like gaining gold and like levels and stuff leads to a lot of snowballing, and the fact that they are team games means that it's kind of easy for one person to fuck up the entire game for the whole team, and relying on random strangers on the internet is miserable. It's like a miserable experience. I talked about it back in the Dissidia video, but yeah, that whole interview with the creators of TF2 and how they specifically made choices to de-emphasize team play just enough that it didn't feel like your fate was in someone else's hands half the time. So, why then would a guy like me install Smite 2 and put like a few dozen hours into it? Well, I got the bug. I was looking at Dota. I was looking at Dota 2 characters and thinking that they had like some cool gameplay ideas there, and then remembering that I really don't want to play Dota because I've played it before and I kind of just can't handle the sheer power level of characters in that game. I find it incredibly obnoxious. The amount of like level 1 3-second stuns in Dota 2 is mind-boggling. Uh, Also, to be honest, I just don't think Dota plays as well as League. I think League, if there's anything that Riot nailed in League of Legends from day one, it was feedback and just making a game feel good. I've talked about this before, but everything in League just feels so. Casual, doing pedestrian things in that game is so satisfying. So I remember thinking, yeah, I like Smite well enough back when I played it. I've played almost every major MOBA on the market, or just about every major MOBA at one point in time. I remember liking Smite enough. Why don't I try out Smite again? Let me try out Smite 2. Let's see what's different about it. Cause I didn't. I had some problems with Smite 1. My problems with Smite 1 um were there was a few things that eventually kind of made me drop the game. For one, the a lot of the characters, the gods of the game,
kind of had sort of samey designs. A lot of there's a funk or funky, I don't know how he pronounces his name. There's a funky video about about MOBAs, and he laid it out really well. Of just a lot of Smite characters have kind of cookie cutter like ability design, damage thing, buff, AoE spell, interesting ultimate. That's a lot of them. Their passive builds up damage or something like that. Uh, yeah, that's true for a lot of characters. Other things with Smite, I didn't love the fact that the shop and character builds were very railroaded in that game. The entire item shop was not available to any character. You had to characters were either like magical or physical, and those were the only items you had access to, at least for like damage stuff. And that was a little lame to me. The biggest thing that made me quit Smite outside of like the player base being annoying was actually the perspective. And this I think is where I break with a lot of people. For many, they can't I think part of the appeal of Smite is that a lot of people just can't deal with the overhead perspective that most MOBAs use because they're all, you know, they all come from StarCraft basically and Warcraft 3. Genealogically, they just can't deal they can't get into the perspective, and the third person behind the back camera view of Smite is more engaging to them and makes them feel more like they're playing an action game. Smite, you know, it has a lot of what would I call not concessions, but there's a lot of things that play into it feeling more like an action game, where you've got to actually you aim stuff. There's no real point and click abilities. It's all like skill shots for the most part. There's a really strong aspect of like this is actually another issue. Okay, oh. So the whole perspective, it does some things to the game that are kind of neat, but also some of them I don't like. For instance, you can always turn around. Like, you can always rotate around during almost everything. There's a few abilities that force you to stand in place and kind of channel them, but in League of Legends, for instance, even the simplest skills have some kind of channel time. Almost everything. There are very few abilities in League of Legends that have absolutely no channel time. And that means that you will be locked into an animation. You'll be locked in place for 1 second, like, or a split second, as your character does the move. In Smite, they let you move around and turn around on most things. It's the complete opposite. And I always felt that made the game feel really floaty to me. See, traditionally, I always liked playing more like brawler characters in MOBAs. But in Smite, I always felt that the auto attacks and stuff felt very floaty and kind of weak. Because you're always able to just move around, and it feels like as you're hitting minions and stuff, it's like you're moving around. It's like your character swings their weapon, and then the damage just kind of happens. There isn't as much. It's because you're not locked into an animation where you have to be at a certain. Excuse me. You have to be at a certain distance. The actual impact isn't always sold that well. So curiously, I really gravitated more towards like the mages in Smite. There's some really cool mage designs. The other thing is that the perspective is just so the way that I quit Smite, the reason I quit Smite, and I'm not kidding you, this is exactly what happened back in like 2019 or 2020 during COVID when I had nothing to do in my last semester of high school. I was playing Smite, I got back into it, I got ganked. Someone came up from behind me, killed me, and I went, I can't fucking see anything in this game. And then after the game, I uninstalled and installed League of Legends. I'm not kidding you, that's exactly what happened. Like, and it was just so nice to be like, oh, I can actually see what's going on. I can actually understand. I actually get, like, information. I can move the camera around to different parts of the map. I don't feel like I'm always just boxed into my character's view. Um, so I decided to play Smite mainly because I just didn't want to play a different MOBA, and I was curious about how it differed from the original. Uh, which I get the justification for why they jumped. Basically, Smite 1 just had so much technical debt that they were like, we just need to restart. We just need to start from scratch. So I wrote some notes down about Smite 2. Here's some feedback. You want, because it's in beta. Oh boy, is it in beta. And if you're listening from high res, I've got some feedback for you. So, first thing I wrote down, default UI layout is not the default. I loaded into my first game, and it was not what I expected out of a MOBA UI. And I maybe, like, things were on the left and things were on the right, and things were just laid out in a really unintuitive way for me, which could have been my preconceptions, but it was just very strange. I go into the settings only to find out that there is a UI layout option, and it by default is set to split, which is why there's things on the left and things on the right. It's set to split. I click on the drop down menu, and one of the options is default. Why is default not the default? On top of that, the UI is very bland. It like, Smite never had the most engaging, colorful user interface, but I think if you look at its compatriots in the genre, League has a very nice, slick, Magitech aesthetic to its menus. Dota also has a nice like it's not super stylish, but it's got some material design and all that. Smite 2 is very bland. It's just outlines. I came up with this idea. Hey, check this out, Smite devs. You could even sell this as a cosmetic. Okay, how about this? Pantheon specific borders. Pantheon specific UI overlays, basically. So you could have the main aesthetic of the game, which is just like simplistic lines and bullshit. But in game, depending on the pantheon of the god that you're playing, like the Roman one could have Roman architecture around the borders. The I don't know, the Chinese one could have like classical Chinese architecture and, like, you know, pillars and I don't know, dragons and stuff and patterns. And that would give a lot of flavor to every individual god and their specific pantheon and the culture that they come from, because there's a lot of cultural consideration that they do. They have, like, you know, mythology experts that they bring on for this game. I think that would be neat. You could even sell it as a cosmetic or a battle pass reward. Ooh, yeah, now you're thirsty for it. Now you're salivating. The tutorial is incomplete. Again, I know it's a beta, but the tutorial experience is very fucking whack. So it basically drops you into the arena mode, which is not the main mode of the game. Arena is basically fight, fight, fight. Teams of 5. Go fight, fight, fight. Earn points by getting kills and pushing your minions into a portal. There's almost no terrain. It's just like a PvP mode. And all you're taught to do is the basic controls of the game and how to level up. You are not even told how to shop. Bizarrely, they seem to be very averse to even teaching you what the store is. I'll get to this in a second. Yeah. So basically, you do the one tutorial in arena mode, you beat that, the game spits you out, and you are by default queued into a different game mode, Joust, which is a smaller 3v3 map where you have the whole choice is to, or the whole, it's like a traditional MOBA gameplay where you advance down a lane. It's a one lane map, and you advance down the lane and destroy like 2 or 3 towers. It's 2 towers. Whoa. And then destroy their like central crystal nexus, whatever. Their Titan? Yeah, it's the Titan in this game. So you have no context for this gameplay. You don't understand how any of this stuff works. Then it's really weird because specifically you're queued into quick play. And quick play is like, we'll handle this for you. So you, at the start of the game, you choose a build. They give you 3 different preset item builds, but you don't like follow the build necessarily. You earn gold until you can buy the entire item. And then when you get back to base, it just automatically like pops up the shop interface, and it shows you one of 3 items that you can afford from the build, and you just click on one and it buys it, and also the tooltip for the item goes off screen so you can't even read it. Awesome. Then I had to figure out, okay, so they were like, despite the fact that it's super weird because the game is seemingly for new players. It's like a new jumping on point. But they hold your hand so much and never actually transition you into the actual MOBA gameplay, which is 5v5 on a 3-lane map with the full item shop. Like, isn't part of the point of this reboot that now the whole item store is available to every character? Why did you not even tell me? Like, I had to be like, don't you hit I to open up the shop? um it's super weird. It's like the player is already, they're expecting you to already be familiar or look through the fucking keybinds to figure it out. They don't explain how stats work. They don't actually explain how to build your character. They give you a preset build, but it doesn't always like function. Sorry, that doesn't always make sense for the character you're playing, or sorry, the role that you're playing. Let's see. If you change what mode you're queuing for, the UI doesn't update to reflect it. Yeah, this is funny. So you click on the queue button on the main menu, and it gives you all these options, and then you click on it, and like a new game mode you want to queue for, and it does not change back on the main menu. You click on it, you're back in the main menu, and the queue timer is running, but it still says you're on the previous mode that you were queued for, not the one you actually clicked on. And then suddenly, when the queue pops, it says, "Oh yeah, you were queued for Conquest," which is the main 5v5 mode. Really weird. It happened early on. It hasn't. It's kind of inconsistent when it happens. They push the All Gods Forever pack constantly, which, to be fair, is a good value. But it's more of a thing really early on in the game because after a few hours, it really dropped off how much they kept shoving it in my face. Hey, you can get the All Gods Forever bundle, which, okay, again, like it is a really good bang for your buck. If you like the game and you think you're going to play it for a long time, $20, you get a bunch of stuff and every single character unlocked, as well as every future character will be unlocked. Basically, you're buying the game for $20. And I think it's a great business model. I don't know how successful it is. It's successful enough that they're including it in this game as well. It was in the first game too. I think that that's a really good idea. Okay, you have the free-to-play version, or you can just buy it and unlock all of the playable content. Cosmetics are still additional microtransactions, but we're also going to give you a bunch of currency. We're going to give you like $20-ish worth of currency, or maybe more. I don't know how much. I haven't done the conversion. We're going to give you a bunch of currency to buy skins with, which is it's a good bundle. I haven't bought it because I don't think I'm going to be committed to Smite 2 for that long, but it's a good deal. Man, they push it so much in they're constantly flashing notifications like, did you know that you can get the All Gods Forever pack? Like, they are literally repurposing the rewards UI to push reminders. Like, there's the banner that pops up across the screen that's like, you earned this from leveling up your account. They do that. They use that exact UI element, but it's to be like, hey, did you know you can get the All Gods Forever bundle? Like, it's so much at first. Let's see. A few other bugs I noticed. There's one where everyone loaded into the lobby with their role as Phil, but then after they locked in their characters, the roles were actually revealed. There's a bug where I click Q, but it never actually starts, and eventually just cancels the queue. I don't know, that was weird. That's most of my feedback. I do have positive feedback. For one, I think the game looks pretty nice. I think they've made some cool additions to the gameplay. There's a lot of, like, side objectives now for you to do in every lane. They give you a lot of currency to get as many gods as you want. Well, not as many gods as you want, but very quickly you'll have they give you these tokens every time your account levels up, and each token unlocks you a god, and you can get to level like 25 really fast. And to be honest, like, most players are probably not going to need that much more than that. So as a free-to-play, the experience has been pretty nice. Also, they have a training mode where you can play as every single character, and it's a fairly robust training mode where you can, select all the items that you want and your level up and stuff like that, and spawn in dummies and stuff. So you can actually try out a character's moveset before you play as them. Plus, there's a free rotation. So all in all, it is pretty free-to-play friendly. You get access to a lot of content. You get to try before you buy. And progression is pretty even. In fact, so if you really dedicate yourself to maining a character, each character has their own individual, like, progression path. And of course, there's a premium one that gives you additional stuff. But I forget, I don't know exactly how you get it, if it's just leveling up your account, or if it's actually tied to advancing the character, like your character mastery. But you can get a token that just unlocks their premium track. So I really liked the god Kali, the Hindu goddess of destruction. I thought she was really fun. She, oddly enough, reminds me of Dr. Mundo from League, my favorite League character, gameplay-wise, because she has an ultimate that makes her unkillable. So you can just do my favorite thing in video games, which is wailing on someone and just standing in front of them and not dying as they are trying to kill the fuck out of you. She's really fun. She's like a cool assassin character. She has a lot of... She is a great example of the ways in which opening up the shop improves the game. Because there's like a ton of different ways that you can build her. You can build her for physical damage and go for, like, attack speed. There's so many stats that she could benefit from, like attack speed, critical hit, life steal. And then you can also build her intelligence and focus more on, like, using her abilities a lot. There's like a whole intelligence build because you get more cooldown reduction that way, which means that your ultimate is up more often, which means you can take more crazy fights. Also, a lot of her abilities scale with intelligence, or they have some intelligence scaling or hybrid scaling. And she's like a genuinely really fun, interesting character who's flexible. You can play her in the jungle. You can play her in solo role, in the solo lane, and I've had a lot of success with both, and I actually quite enjoy her. There's some fun god designs in this game. I love Janus. He's the god of like the Greek god of portals, and he opens up portals that just let him teleport through the map and like through pieces of level terrain and stuff like that. That's really fun. I feel like I got a burp. There it is. Uh, there's some fun hero designs, and also the queuing experience is pretty good. First of all, they have a really nice queuing system where they have a role queue. Now, I remember back in League of Legends, they introduced a role queue after years of people asking for it. They were very hesitant to actually adopt the way that most people actually played League of Legends. But eventually they did submit to, okay, a 5-role queue. This is how people play the game. We have to accept that. And in League, you can queue for a primary position and a secondary position, depending on what you like the most. In Smite, you queue for technically all roles, but you get to choose the priority for them. You get to choose from most preferred to least preferred. And when I saw that, I was kind of worried that, oh, are they going to like dump me into a role I don't like? You know, is it that like a player-based problem? Come to find out, I don't think I've ever gotten my bottom 2 roles. I arranged it solo, mid, carry, which is now jungle, and then like, or solo, mid, carry, jungle, support was the order I had it in. I then replaced carry with jungle, I think, when I started playing Kali more. And I've never gotten the bottom 2. I almost always get my first and sometimes my second pick. And queue times are relatively fast. Again, my most preferred role is solo, which has never been the most popular one. I'd say it's in the middle. Mid and carry tend to be the most sought after roles with the longest queue times. But solo, it's still pretty. People like playing solo laners, and I've had like maybe 2-minute queue times, which for a game that needs 10 players is pretty fast. So the actual experience is pretty good. I will say Smite players are like the biggest bitches in the world. They surrender after everything. They surrender after like 2 deaths. It's crazy. Which is funny because Smite actually gives you the real indicator for how well a team is doing, which is the gold lead. I gotta pick up Cat in a second. I gotta cut this. I gotta cut this. I'll come back. Okay, Cat's back. I was just ranting. Say hi.
Hi.
I was just ranting. Well, I was talking about. Okay, so in Smite, people will do this thing where they're cowards and they surrender immediately. And Smite actually tells you. I can't believe it's like the only. I don't remember if Dota 2 does this, but Smite actually gives you the most important stat in the whole game, which is the gold lead that each team has.
Yeah.
Because in a MOBA, you earn gold to buy items to make your character stronger.
Yeah.
Meaning that gold can be thought of as the most direct shorthand for power level of each team. It might not always tell the full story. Maybe all of the gold on one team is focused on basically one person who's been doing well. But it is the most consistent indicator for who's going to win the game. Because it also... so for it, kills are actually can be a very misleading stat in that sense. For instance, I was playing a game where we were significantly behind on kills compared to the enemy team, but we were equal in gold because my team had taken way more objectives, and we actually won that game. So you have to do a little bit more of a thoughtful analysis, but people surrender all the time. Anyway, I think that's a neat thing about Smite 2. I don't know if I might have exhausted my. You came right at the end of my thoughts on the game. Have you ever played a MOBA?
Deadlock.
Oh, Cat played Deadlock.
Yeah.
You're very quiet.
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if I came on. Yeah, I guess I need to get close.
Yeah, we're just on the bed right now. We're just laying on the bed. Tell us about your terrible bus ride, baby.
It was fine up until I got to a certain point.
Don't use place names.
I know. I'm careful not to dox ourselves. I get to this point where I guess the road was cut off because there was construction. So we just turned and we went like a different way, which I was like, okay, fine. That happened to me last week going over to you. So I was like,
yeah, they're doing a lot of construction around.
I was like,
there.
okay, it's fine. And then we got to a mall.
To a?
Yeah, to a mall. And they turned again. And that's when everyone just had like a...
There was a second detour?
Yeah,
oh,
that was not
God.
needed because the road was fine.
You just
And
said,
everyone...
I don't like it.
everyone like did like a collective groan.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it a full bus?
Yeah, it was a pretty full bus, I'd say. It was more crowded than when we saw the Mario movie, so...
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to even talk about that part.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, we could talk about it after this.
Yeah.
Okay. There was like this really old black lady who just went up to the old... I couldn't tell what the bus driver was.
Yeah.
Maybe he was like Mexican or something.
Yeah.
And he just went like, you know, we have places to be. I gotta be at a Walgreens. And then another, like a tall white guy got up. He's like, you know, you're supposed to be going that way, right? And then like old man driving the bus is like, everybody calm down and relax. I'll go back to the way we were supposed to be. So like, why didn't you just go there normally? Why didn't you just go there normally? Why'd you do that? There was no reason for you to... I saw the road. The road was fine.
Yeah.
There was no reason for you to do that.
Yeah.
Were you just stupid?
Maybe he was confused. Maybe he's going his own way.
There should be a rule about hiring bus drivers, and there should be like an Alzheimer's test or something. Maybe I'm being a little ageist, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
you can get Alzheimer's when you're like 40.
Oh, this guy looked like he was pushing 50 or 60.
Okay, well that's a lot. You made him sound a lot older.
No, he's like 50. He looked like about 50 or
What's
60.
the oldest you can get? What's the youngest you can get Alzheimer's? I actually don't know that.
I think 40, right?
We're both medical experts.
Yeah, clearly.
I'm gonna look this up. What's the youngest can get Alzheimer's? Yeah, 40s or 50s.
Okay.
Rarely in their 30s. The youngest recorded case is a 19-year-old with symptoms beginning at 17.
Wow.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's about all I had to talk about the bus.
You wanted to talk about the Mario movie too?
It's fine.
That's what I said.
Is that what you said?
Yeah. I forgot to mention that there were so few people in our theater that there was an echo.
Yeah, it was like a cave.
Yeah.
It was like one of those like those caves with like paintings across it. That's what watching the Mario movie felt like.
Yeah,
I was staring at like a cave painting.
Those were the shadows on the wall.
Yeah.
In Plato's cave, it keeps you in ignorance.
Oh, like the Thrilljoy figurine guy.
Yeah, the guy from the Thrilljoy figurine. Plato.
Yeah, Plato.
Yeah.
And the chase is Socrates, and the super chase is Aristotle.
So for anyone who doesn't know, Kat loves these little things called Thrilljoys. They're like Funko Pops, but also gambling. Because she's a little consumer. It's a different company. Was it?
So the CEO, Brian Mariotti, used to be the CEO of Funko. Then he left.
Oh, okay.
He left around 2023 because I think
they lost their way, man. They went corporate.
Pretty bad, yeah.
They sold out.
So he left, and he founded this company called Thrilljoy.
Yeah.
where he basically is like, it's like old Funko, old, basically he's putting back IPs that you would see back in like the 2000s, early 2010s for Funko. And
when they couldn't get premium shit.
Yeah, when it wasn't, the only thing they weren't doing is like anime.
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly what Funko is now.
Yes, and there is a line of Greek philosopher thrill joys.
Yeah.
You can get a Play-Doh.
Yeah. I really hope I can come across these in the wild one day. I haven't seen one, but...
Do you think... Yeah?
Oh, I was just like, I think it'd just be funny to own it. It would look really funny next to the other ones that I own.
Yes. So she keeps buying them, and then she's like, oh boy, I hope this time I get green Ramona. And then she opens it, and it's blue Ramona, and she's like, fuck! And she just has like 5 blue Ramona.
I have like 3. I have two that I've just on the side. I don't have... It's still a lot, I know, but I'm like...
It's I have 3. It's like, oh my god.
That's the only one that I have duplicates of.
I'm gonna buy the Diggum Frog. I'm gonna buy the Honey No fucking way! You bought another one?
No, this is the first one that I've got of him. I don't have this one yet.
Oh my god! It's the fucking Honey Smacks Frog. Thrill Joy.
That peaks so
what
bad.
What the fuck? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Did you stop by work?
Yeah.
Did you stop by? Oh my lord.
Yeah, I did. I had time. I was like, oh yeah, the bus is free for like 2 hours. I'm just gonna kill time before coming here.
Yeah. Do you want to open it?
Yeah.
Open it on mic, whatever.
On mic, yeah.
So there's 2 variants of so when I say it's like gambling, I mean that every figure has multiple versions. There's the regular, and then there's the chase version. There's the special alternate version. Alright, she's having trouble with the packaging.
I wish like your mom had like a nail or something.
There's
like holes.
Like holes?
Like the movie, yeah, right here.
Ooh.
Do you think it's like a floss right there? Do you think like the edge of the floss will like...
No. Oh god, the mic fell over. It's like, you have nails. You got long nails.
I know I got long nails.
So, you got in there. She got in there.
I breached container.
Yeah, she took his advice. She digged him.
I dug him.
Okay, so the frog... Okay, so the Diggum Frog, he's got 2 versions. Jesus, don't hit the mic with the box. There's the regular version where he's holding a spoon, and then the chase version, a 1 in 6 chance that he's holding a bowl and a box of Honey Smacks. Because he's a mascot for fucking Honey Smacks cereal. Because Cat loves brands.
Honey Smacks is my 3rd favorite cereal. So, all right.
Yep.
Did I
ripping it?
Did I pull the chase?
Let's see.
Can you? This might be the.
I will reveal. Should I reveal? Are you gonna? Okay. No way.
Pulled the chase!
No way. No way. No way.
That was worth the shitty bus ride. That was worth the shitty bus ride.
Holy shit! She got Diggum Frog. She got Diggum Frog with cereal box. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
1 in 6 chance.
1 of 1. Wow. That's my first ever chase.
Not mine.
Okay. Wait, I need a picture of this. This is a special moment.
Yeah. Oh my god, she's so cute. Look at her. Well, you will. Well, I don't know if you will. She got the fucking dick. Oh my god.
I'll get Dark Audacity in the background to prove that this happened while we were recording.
This happened live.
Yeah, we did it live. Fuck it.
What did you think of Project Hail Mary?
Did you not talk about any movie?
Yes, I did. You want to talk about Mario? I talked about Mario already.
Did you talk about? Oh, did you?
Yeah. Yes, I talked.
What did you talk about?
Talked about Project Hail Mary, the Mario movie, Stone Ocean, and Still Ball Run.
Forgot one. Oh, we didn't finish Ted.
Oh, and Ted. I talked about Ted.
Oh, you talk about Ted?
I did talk about Ted.
Okay.
It was a busy day, okay?
Yeah, it was a busy day. Stone Ocean, I guess I'll start, we'll go in order of what I watched.
Yeah.
For those.
How'd you feel about Stone Ocean?
Stone Ocean was good. Yeah. Stone Ocean was probably my 2nd favorite of the parts. Right behind
Right,
part
you
5.
liked part 5 a lot.
I think Part 5 was my favorite, just in terms of pacing and stands. But Stone Ocean's not that far behind, honestly.
Yeah? What'd you like about it?
I really like the camaraderie between Jolene, Hermes, and Foo Fighters.
Yeah?
I really like the cast a lot. I don't
Me
think
too.
there was a character that I actively disliked outside of... Well, I guess Jotaro comes back, but he's like dead for most of the show, so I didn't...
He's in a coma.
I was like, cool, we don't have to do member berries. We don't have to be like, hey, remember this character?
Remember, it's a generational show.
I'm like, you don't need to bring back Jotaro for
It's
every part.
her dad.
I guess, yeah, it is her dad, so okay, I guess I'll let it slide as opposed to like part 4 or part 5. Well, he has like a cameo in part 5, so it's like that.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
I don't really
disagree on that.
Yeah, I don't know. You don't. Really...
I like seeing the same character get older and change.
I feel like he doesn't look that much different from like part 4.
But he
has a different outfit. I guess
he acts. It's interesting for me to see him in like new stages of life.
Okay, fine. I guess I could see that.
Okay, fine.
I hope Steel Ball Run's not like that.
Well, Abdal was in there.
Is that supposed to be Abdal?
No, it's like an alternate. It's kind of a reference.
Okay.
So the way that the new universe works, or I should say,
was this the new 52 of JoJo?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's the way that the Steel Ball Run universe works. From then onwards is that there are certain characters who are alternate universe versions of previous characters, and some of them are just little references. Like there's the Avdol guy, but he's Ermd Avdol and not Muhammad.
Yeah.
There's a little later on. There's like a quick cameo from a guy who's like Stroheim, but
okay,
very minor thing.
All right.
Some characters are like more major. Like Johnny is short for Jonathan. He is Jonathan Joestar.
Okay.
In actuality, he's an alternate Johnny or alternate Jonathan. But as a character, he's completely different. Obviously, different upbringing, different personality. Looks totally different. It's just like a thematic parallel for you to like compare the original character to. Gyro is a Zeppeli.
Right.
So you have Jonathan Joestar and a Zeppeli. Diego is obviously like Dio, but he's not the same kind of Dio, and he's a very different kind of character eventually. So there's that. And that's basically kind of how it works. Characters are brand new, but they will be kind of references or plays on previous characters. He does this in part 8 is Josuke again, but totally different kind of character with a different backstory and everything.
Yeah, I saw something that like Yasuho is supposed to be the Koichi of that world.
Well, her name is Yasuho Hirose.
Okay.
So same last name, and it's Hirose and Josuke Higashikata palling around Moria. It takes place in Morio.
Okay.
But it's a different Moria.
Version.
It's an alternate Moria. It's like Bizarro World, kind of.
Okay.
And the only exception is in part 9, where there is one character who is like, I won't spoil it for people who haven't read it, but there is one character who shows up and you're like, Araki, you gotta be shitting me. Are you fucking... And it's not the same character from the previous universe. He just looks and acts exactly like him and has the exact same stand.
Alright.
And if you know Araki, you might be able to... My fucking jaw dropped when I turned the page. Anyway. Yeah, back to Stone Ocean.
I just thought it was good.
Yeah?
I don't really have much to say other than like I like the cast a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's it.
How'd you feel about the first episode of Steel Ball Run?
It's great.
I agreed.
It's fantastic.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think so too.
It's funny that we're talking about this right after they announced that like
we're not getting more episodes till fall.
So that's gonna be a little rough, but for like a good taste of what we're gonna expect.
Yeah, it's like a preview.
Yeah, it's just the first stage, but it was really good.
Yeah, the stage thing is weird because when they announced that they were doing it in stages, I was like,
I don't even remember where the stages are. Like, I remember basically all the story arcs from Part 7,
Yeah.
but and it's been like 10 years since I read it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, where did the stages start and stop? Because it's actually not a very big part of the story. And I looked it up, and so stage 1 is about 12 chapters, which we get in the first episode, which is like a double length episode. Stage 2 is like 30 chapters or something like that. Okay. It's like 20 chapters. It's way longer. Which is why they're doing it in, I want to say there was a leaked schedule, which was like, is this real? Is it not? We don't know. I
saw that schedule.
But too. Yeah, but it's lined up so far with what we've gotten. And the stage 2 is like going to be about 12 episodes, which makes sense because it dramatically decompresses and gets much longer by the end.
Cool. Take your time. I'm really liking just how this is starting. So.
Yeah, it's a good. So there was stuff that they. I don't know if you're curious about the differences between the manga and the anime.
Was there a lot?
There's a fair number.
Okay.
The opening is totally different. So it actually starts. The manga actually starts with Sandman, the Native American guy. Mm-hmm. It actually opens with his backstory and his tribe and stuff.
Okay.
In the anime, they just had the scene of him running from his his tribe. Mm-hmm. But that is a much longer sequence in the manga. There's also like he kind of changes what he wants to do with Sandman mm-hmm. from the start of the story to like later on. And so there's like literally the scene where Sandman gets his entry into the race. There's actually like a little stand type ability that he uses when he's like handing him the emerald.
Yeah.
That never comes back up again, and Araki he totally changed that. Mm-hmm. So that's left out of the anime for reasons like that. Right. You also don't get Johnny's backstory until way later.
Okay. So it's just here in the beginning?
Yeah, so they kind of shifted some stuff around and they prioritized showing Johnny's backstory to kind of give you an idea of where the character's coming from. And also Poco Loco.
Yeah.
Which Poco Loco, that also makes sense because he is a very straightforward character mm-hmm. and he does not change very much. Sorry to spoil you. But he's basically like... he's like that the whole story.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So they're like, that's just where he's coming from. And it's fine. I love Poco Loco.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
There's like a few other things. There's like a scene. Remember the scene where Gyro is deciding on what to take with him? When he chooses like the little teddy bear?
Teddy bear, yeah.
Over like something else.
Like a gun or something?
Like a gun. He's like, he wants his little plushie.
Yeah.
Which made me think of you.
Yeah.
There's like a longer... That scene is like a whole page with a bunch of panels where he's like deciding stuff.
I've seen that panel actually.
Yeah.
It's much longer.
And he's like, nah, I don't need toilet paper. I can just use leaves.
Sure, okay.
He's a smelly, stinky guy. Also, a lot of the horse racing was, I guess I'd say collated and made into like a tighter... It's like quite a few chapters of just horse racing.
That's cool.
But that was kind of compressed into this one, like really... the horse racing was really fun, I thought, in the episode.
Oh, yeah. The horse racing was very nicely animated. I can see why this took time.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's Steel Ball Run. We're both very excited,
I'm excited
for
more of it.
Do you want to talk about... You said you wanted to go in order.
So I guess Mario would be next.
Yeah, what'd you think of Mario?
It's fine.
That's what you said earlier.
So it's exactly... Yeah, that's what I said before I ripped open into the thrill.
Yeah, into the thrill. What a thrill.
That's the slogan of the company. Rip into the thrill.
Rip into the thrill?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's how you can tell a 40-year-old man like that shit.
This is gonna sound so cool.
It's fine.
Yeah?
It's okay. It's still probably in the higher end of Illumination's catalog.
Really?
But it's still like a 5 out of 10, which really says a lot about Illumination.
That's crazy that you'd say that. I'm not disagreeing with you. It's just like a shocking thing to hear.
It's crazy that like... Their last movie was like 2 years ago.
Which one was it?
Despicable Me 4.
Was that 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And I think that movie is just like a tad better. And it's crazy to me, like, the fourth Despicable Me movie could be better than a movie about Mario Galaxy. Which I don't think you should just call this Mario Galaxy. You should just call this Mario 2. Don't call this Mario Galaxy.
I thought they should have called it... Okay, it's weird. I thought they were going to do World next.
So that was the leaked title of the movie, and I guess they just changed their mind.
I don't know what, like, that's because Yoshi's in the movie.
Yeah, you could. There's
he
a
comes
dinosaur.
In World. Yeah, there's a dinosaur.
I feel like you could have easily just done like that old Mario World cartoon.
Something like that.
Not even one Mama Luigi. Come on, really?
It's just I don't know. It's kind of weird to jump into like space immediately.
Yeah, Galaxy seems like a weird one. So you're just gonna skip World, Land, Sunshine. 64.
They have Bowser Jr.
Yeah, and there is a lot of Sunshine references in the movie. Like Flood's there, like a cameo.
Yeah.
The Piantas are walking around. His paintbrush, I guess, that's from Sunshine.
Yeah, I think they bring it back in Bowser's Fury.
Yeah, because
like a lot of the metal
stuff. He doesn't have a painting. He doesn't have a paintbrush in Galaxy.
No,
I don't remember that name.
No, he doesn't.
That's not a thing. The big spider boss is.
Yes, they have the first boss from Galaxy in there. They have Rosalina and the Lumas.
That's like a huge...
They have Rosalina, technically. She's there.
She's there. But for some reason... oh my god, my throat. For some reason, Illumination was like, nah. Let's give the spotlight to Fox McCloud.
That's what I said.
I was like, what?
He has so much time in the movie. It's weird.
It's weird. It's not bad.
No.
Like, I think Glenn Powell does a fantastic job. He's really good.
I forgot it's Glenn Powell.
And he's having fun, and, like, it's really surreal to hear Star Fox music in a theater.
Yeah.
And it's really...
Oh, you know what? I will say that. Sorry to cut you off.
Okay, no, go ahead. I'm sure it's something important.
One of the things I actually did like was how much arranged music was in the Mario movie.
90% of it. No, 95%.
Most of it. There's like one or two licensed songs.
There's only two.
Briefly.
There's only two.
Yeah.
And they're instrumentals. So
yeah, it's very minimal.
You can't use a Biggie Smalls song with lyrics in a Mario movie, and the other one was like Earth, Wind, and Fire, but whatever.
But most of it was actual tracks from the games used appropriately, like in the proper context. There was like, oh god, what I did? Oh, the Bowser's Castle theme when they're on the Bowser planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like little references here. There's Galaxy music during the final battle.
Yeah, there's a lot of Sunshine music.
Yeah, I guess because Bowser Jr.
Yeah, because Jr.'s there.
And I like that. That was nice actually to hear that.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, the composer wrote most of the compositions in the hospital, so that guy was working his ass off.
That's crazy.
I'm like, Godspeed. I have, clearly you're the one that like hauled ass. You and the animators.
Dude,
the writers, on the other hand, the one writer.
He's like soaking something from the composer for Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah.
He had fucking cancer, and he composed the whole score to Shadowbringers in the hospital. And they were like, Soken, you gotta rest. And he's like, if I can't compose, what will I have to live for? And they were like, fuck. Sorry, what were you saying?
I don't know. I was just saying that the biggest improved thing over the original was the animation and the score.
I'd say that too. I thought this movie looked really nice.
Everything else, just throw it in the trash.
That puppet scene was nicely animated.
Okay, actually, I will add that puppet scene where Bowser Jr. Yeah, Bowser's talking to Bowser Jr. about his past, and also the credits where they also do it. I think that's fantastic.
I was looking at the screen and wondering, it almost looked like a live action thing.
Yeah, it did.
It was.
It looked like something from like Gumball.
Yeah, the physics on the puppets, because they're
really
like
good.
sock puppets.
Yeah.
It's so like floppy, and I was like, "Whoa,
yeah,
that's really good." They got these people working on the fucking Mario Galaxy movie.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Is there any other standout moments with the animation like that? I'm trying to think.
Some of the visuals of like the fight scenes are cool.
Yeah, it's really well choreographed.
There
are some scenes. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. There are some scenes where they do take advantage of the 16-bit stuff. Like
like what?
There's a scene
Oh my god.
I need water after this. There's a scene where Bowser Jr. is trying to take down Mario and Peach, and it's clearly a Mario Maker reference.
Yeah, no, I like that. That was fun.
And I was like, oh, it's like a very clever way to not only have the 8-bit Mario, but also a very clever way to integrate Mario Maker in the movie.
Yeah, I like that. He's building like a death level as they're trying to run through it.
It's really weird not seeing Dashy's face on the corner of the screen.
Doing those thwomps showed
up. And there's also one at the end of the movie where it's like Super Nintendo Mario.
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
Mario 3?
It's Mario World graphics.
Yeah.
And they're like, they do Mario World Rosalina, which
looked really weird. Yeah, I was like, I'm not used to seeing a 16-bit Rosalina.
Yeah, it feels like the character was not designed for that small of a rendition.
I was thinking about that too. I mean, other than that, it's fine.
It's okay.
It's fine. It doesn't matter what we say. This is gonna make $1 billion.
It's made like $1 million trillion already.
No, it's made like $500 million.
Okay,
worldwide,
fine. Like,
but it's going
me.
to.
Yeah.
It's going to. We're gonna get another one. We're gonna get spin-offs. There's a fucking well. This isn't related to Illumination.
Do you think they could make video games?
Yeah, I wonder. Join us in 3 years when we get Mario Odyssey. I guess that's probably my guess. No, join us next year because we're gonna have Zelda.
How about Mario goes to the DMV?
That'd be a cool one. That'd be a really thought-provoking.
Yeah, he's got to get a license for his cart.
Join us next year when we have Zelda.
You're gonna make me see that.
I think the behind-the-scenes stuff looks sick.
Yeah.
I think the casting looks nice. They got fucking Miss Casey from Severance.
They did.
They have her as.
They got Dickum Lickum.
Forget the character.
I'm
she's
sorry.
Playing.
I don't want to be racist.
I forget the character she's playing, but she's
Impa. She's Impa.
She's gonna be Impa. Cool.
Yeah.
Who are they gonna get?
I won't be impotent in that theater. I'll tell you that much.
You'll be fine once they bring in the.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! What's that character's name?
Which one?
When they bring in Urbosa. You won't have anything. You will forgive this movie immediately when they bring in them. I don't know what game they're adapting, but we'll see.
Every time I see stuff about the live action Zelda, all I can think of is the April Fool's video that IGN uploaded in like 2010. It was like a fake trailer for a live action Zelda.
Oh, I saw that. I remember that.
Yeah, that's all I can think of. That and the Smosh rap.
I was thinking that too.
You were?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope the movie looks like that.
They should have gotten.
Ian,
is it Ian? Ian's Link in that one. Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. How about Ted?
We skipped one.
Oh, Project Hail Mary.
I'm going to keep this one brief because I really don't have that much to say.
Really? About Project Hail Mary?
It's good.
It was good.
I do have a couple nitpicks with the movie.
Oh, give me the nitpick. Pick my nits.
I'm going to recite it from my Letterboxd review.
Oh.
I wish the movie was a little more like the first half. There was a lot of the movie. There's a lot of the stuff with him getting brought into like the NASA facility.
Yeah.
And kind of dicking around with the other like company people.
Yeah.
A lot of the humor of that reminded me of like classic Lord and Miller. I'm talking like Clone High, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, Lego Movie, 21 Jump Street. I was like, oh, this is really funny. I'm getting a huge kick out of this. And then when we get Rocky.
You don't like Rocky?
I do think Rocky's a little overrated. I don't think he's as funny as everyone makes him out to be.
I like that little rock guy.
He's cute. And I'm not saying he's not funny. But I don't think he's as funny as everyone makes him out to be.
I liked their relationship.
I think the relationship is strong.
Yeah.
I just don't think the character himself is that, he's not that as endearing as everyone else makes him to be. I get why he's there. He's essential to the plot.
Yeah.
I just personally don't think he's as strong of a character as like the humans are. Okay. I still think this movie's good. It's not my favorite of Lord and Miller's work. Yeah. I still think it's not even my favorite live action.
They should have had John F. Kennedy in this. He should have gone to space. Wait, he kind of did. Wait, who was the president during the moon landing? Fuck.
Was it Nixon?
I think it was Nixon. No, you're right. It was Nixon.
Okay.
They should have had Nixon. They should have gotten Nixon's ghost to go to space.
They should have like a Futurama head of him.
Yeah, they should. That should have been Rocky.
Yeah.
That should have been his companion. He's like, I just talked to President Nixon's head in a jar.
That sounds like something out of like Clone High.
It does. Well, that's like the premise of Clone High.
Yeah, that is kind of the premise of Clone High.
Yeah, remember you showed me one episode of Clone High.
The first episode of Clone High.
Is there a reason we didn't watch any more?
You're just like, you just seemed lukewarm about it.
Yeah, I didn't find it. It was weird because anytime I've seen clips of Clone High, I thought that show looks funny, and then I watched it and I was like, I'm not laughing.
Maybe it gets better. I don't know.
Maybe I don't know. You've seen it.
I've seen the entire thing, and I think it's pretty funny.
Okay, maybe it's just the first episode was whatever.
Growing pains, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess because it is so different from Lord and Miller's work, because literally all of their projects,
they're more comedies.
They're usually all like Clone High, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, Lego Movie, the Jump Street movies. Those are all comedies. This is more of a straightforward adaptation of the book.
That's true. That definitely impacts it a lot.
There is humor. Like I said, like the first half of the movie is really funny.
Yeah.
And I guess the stuff with Rocky is subjectively funny.
There's more to it than humor for me that carried that.
It's more focusing on the struggles and drama of Ryan Gosling's character, which is great. That I will say, like his character is probably the best. His little arc is the best part of the movie.
He's great.
This is probably one of Ryan Gosling's like best roles, I would say.
Damn. He's in so many good movies. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, he's in a lot of good movies.
He's kind of crazy. How many Oscars does he have? Because I'm just thinking about like Ryan Gosling, the meme about men with Ryan Gosling characters. Like the fucking Drive.
Wow, really?
What?
He doesn't have an Oscar?
Oh, he's the next Leo.
He's 3 nominations. I wonder what those are for. A movie called Half Nose, which I've never heard of. La La Land, which I'm shocked he never won for.
Right, yeah.
And Barbie.
Right.
Which, again, I guess I'm not too shocked. That was a pretty stacked year.
That was a big year, yeah.
Man, maybe soon. Maybe this will be it.
I'd be fine with that.
I don't.
Best actor.
I mean, it's the start of the year. I don't know how many.
Because like, you know what? This is a good best actor pick, because for most of the movie it's just him.
Yeah.
He's bouncing off of another character, but he's the only like actor on screen.
Yeah.
And they did a voice actor doing Rocky's
voice. Yeah.
The text to speech thing,
Mm-hmm.
but it's meant to be like intentionally robotic for that reason. But he puts a little inflection in it. But yeah, I think this is a good like, oh, it's just him for most of the movie, and it's a really good performance. And
I would say at least nominate him.
I'd be shocked if he wasn't nominated.
We'll have to see what other movies
it is an
come
early year movie. It's a summer movie, technically, right?
Spring
movie. Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah, you felt a little cooler on the second half than me, but
yeah, because there's like 3 endings to this movie. It reminded me of like a video game where it's like, here's like a bad,
That's
a bad
what you
ending,
said to me.
an okay ending, and then like the last ending of the movie is like the 100% ending.
Yeah,
which I do like. I do actually kind of. I thought like the kind of conclusion of this movie is kind of sweet.
I was
like, oh, I almost teared up. I was teared up because I was like, oh, it's a very sweet ending.
This is not. I was really pleased with where everyone ended up.
Yeah,
I said this earlier. I kind of wish I saw more, because I wanted to see back on Earth,
right?
What happened later? You get like, okay, the day is saved, and you can in your mind you're like, okay, they'll fix it, and the sun's not gonna die. But I just want to see like they have like a year of videos of Ryan Gosling hanging out with a real alien.
I was like, it would have been like a really neat bonus to show those during the credits. I was kind of thinking that.
Yeah,
would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, oh, that would have been. No, you're right. That would have been fun. Like some of the like stuff we didn't see, or maybe.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that would have been like a like putting pieces together for the story. But I do like the ultimate conclusion. It did feel like a Lord and Miller type ending. Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cute. I like that.
You know, the other thing, the big implication is now they can just do interstellar travel.
Oh yeah,
because
yeah.
they have the astrophage fuel, and like they could introduce the parasite to kill it, but also like they could just like extract it as well while also doing that, so that it's not killing the sun, and just set up a big net, and now you have infinite space fuel.
Yeah.
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 We're mostly aligned.
Yeah, we're mostly aligned. Visuals are
Yeah.
great. I almost kind of wonder. I'm like, is this what that Solo movie would have looked like if they had kept them as directors?
I don't know, maybe, or maybe felt like.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. How did you feel about the science in the movie? Because we're both basically laymen.
I don't know.
Did you think it was fun?
I thought it was fun.
Yeah, because I really liked.
I didn't understand shit, but I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna guess that this is right.
Well, I liked the whole. I liked the a lot of the concepts were explained in a way I thought that was very accessible.
Yeah, it didn't feel like I wasn't. It didn't make me feel dumb, I guess.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it held my hand a little bit and like, oh, this is what this is. That's what that is. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Was there anything that like you didn't understand?
Most of it.
Like most of it, like what?
I don't fucking know anything about like NASA or shit.
Okay.
But I'm just assuming like, okay, that's what they need to like send people to space.
Yeah.
And like the astrophage is like a huge part of the movie.
Well, that's science fiction. That's
okay.
like that's fictional. That's not real, baby.
I assumed so, but I'm like, okay, they make a big deal of it. So
afterwards, my mom asked me if that's real, and I was like, no, that's made up for the book.
Right. Yeah.
The one thing I don't think they ever really explained was like the centrifuge, how a centrifuge works. But
I mean,
I
kind of learned that shit in high school.
Yeah, I knew how it worked.
I know how it worked too.
That was one thing where I could maybe picture someone being like, "What is happening? Why is there gravity now?"
Yeah,
it's because they spin fast enough that you kind of just simulate it.
That's it.
Oh, you remember that great scene when they're learning to understand each other?
Yeah,
and then you get both of the ships spinning together.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Because it's like they're dancing together.
That's another like Lord Miller type joke.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, that's something that they'd make a joke about.
But it's nice because they're literally it's like
together.
Their first interaction is them dancing.
Cute. Yeah,
and then it's so nice. There's a lot of like really nice little bits in the movie like that. Ted, how do you feel about Ted?
We're probably gonna finish it after this podcast.
Yeah, we are. I just talked about how much I liked it.
It's good. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
I think that your stance on like Lilo and Stitch, on like how you said that this would probably work better as a show.
Oh.
I was thinking, I'm like, wow, Ted works better as a show than it does a movie. And
really?
I think the movies are decent. We'll probably also watch them.
I'd like to watch them now, just 'cause I'm curious.
It helps because Mark Wahlberg's not in this one.
You're not a Wahlberg? You're not a Wall fan?
I don't need kid Mark Wahlberg to talk to me about a Vietnamese kid.
It all started there at the restaurant. You don't need to see him as a teenager throwing rocks at Vietnamese kids.
Yeah, I don't need to see him do that.
No, they were black kids.
Were they? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He threw the rocks at black kids, and then when he was a few years later, he beat a Vietnamese man so badly he went blind.
Yeah, that I knew.
Mark Wahlberg hate crime moment.
It's really sad that this is just gonna be it.
Yeah.
Probably because they blew that budget on that D&D episode.
Which is a good episode.
It's a great episode. It's probably one of my favorites of the series.
Yeah.
There is a Ted animated series coming up later this year.
Oh, okay.
But I think it's probably gonna look closer to like every other Seth MacFarlane show.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a sequel series to the actual movies.
Oh, okay. So, is he writing on it?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
I think.
Because I think if the writing is as funny as this, I
wouldn't mind.
I'd be down. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the show's strong. I think it's a very strong show, comedic wise. It reminded me a lot of like old
Family Guy.
The old Family Guy.
That's
or
what I
American
said
Dad.
too. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this isn't like he left the show and now they're just doing whatever they can. I mean, Family Guy can still be funny from time to time, but like, this feels like golden age Family Guy.
Yeah, because not all of his stuff is great. He's got like a million ways to die.
I was
in the
gonna say
West.
Million Ways to Die in the West.
But like when he's funny, I think he's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking of that Naked Gun movie he produced. He didn't write it.
Oh, the new one?
He did produce it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was like, okay, it's clear that like he very much cares about old IP, which is something that's also kind of prevalent in this show.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff.
He loves Flash Gordon. Or he at least knows about it.
That's also something that will come up later in the movies.
Okay.
I'll hold that thought for the movies. But yeah, it's very clear that he grew up in this era and he loves lampooning on it.
Yeah.
Like the D&D episode, for example, or...
Yeah, I totally thought that they were going to... I said this to you. I thought they were going to do a Satanic Panic thing.
But they didn't.
No, it's just the parents end up playing D&D with them, and like the dad doesn't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, I think it's great.
He's like, what's this nerd shit? Which I think is way funnier.
Yeah.
Well, potentially, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you like... This is my first introduction to Ted as a character.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a big Ted guy? Who's your favorite character, you think?
I think Ted's a very strong character in this. He's not... Yeah. It's very clear that he's like a shithead. Yes. They make it clear in the opening.
Yeah.
This is also something that comes back later in the movies, that like, oh, he's a teddy bear that came to life.
Yeah.
And he was like a big celebrity for a while, and then just at some point everybody just stopped giving a shit.
He just fell off. He was a fad for like a year or two or something.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
He's like that Walmart kid.
The yodeling kid?
It's like one of those. It's like, well, at some point everybody's just gonna stop giving a fuck. He's like Tiny Chef or something. It's just like at some point, it's
Tiny Chef.
At some point, they're
put some respect on his name. He was so sad.
And they take advantage of like the fact that like
he has these weird Hollywood connections.
Yeah,
he has all this weird experience.
Yeah.
It's so funny because it's like, is Ted an adult?
I think it's very clear that he's like an adult.
He is, but he's also like not in a human way.
Not in a human way, yeah.
So it's not weird for him to be hanging around, sleeping in a bunk bed with a high schooler.
Yeah, and everyone around them is like, well, whatever.
Yeah, I was saying it's very funny how everyone no one really bats an eye at Ted's existence.
Yeah, it's not like E.T.
Yeah, or the government is trying to capture him.
Or Alf. Yeah,
it's Alf.
Or like, yeah, it's not like.
What's crazy is Alf's probably more racist than Ted.
Oh yeah. I'm not even gonna explain it. You can look that up.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that they don't do that.
Alf's more like Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah. I can get with you on that. Yeah, I think the show's great.
Yeah. Whoa.
I'd be a little sad to see it go because I get it. I think Seth MacFarlane himself is like, yeah, this is really expensive.
Yeah, just the animation. I was looking at I said earlier, I really like the detail about the games that they picked when he gets at Christmas. Because it's 1993, but I looked up, it's Street Fighter 2010 and Legendary Wings, which are both Capcom games. And those games were like 3 and 7 years old, which means that they totally got them out of the bargain bin.
And they just said, fuck it, let's just...
Well, no, I think it's funny because it's like, there's this thing that they're like strapped for cash.
Oh yeah, they're like white trash.
That's the running thing at the show, and I was like, wait, if that's intentional, that's like a really cool detail that they got him like bargain bin games. So I emailed the prop master and asked him about. He hasn't gotten back to me.
Oh, okay.
But
for the show?
Yeah, for the show. I found the guy who worked on the episode.
Okay, that's funny.
And I was just scrolling through the credits. I'm like, wow, the animation department's like the biggest part of a live action show.
Yeah.
Because he looks good.
Yeah.
For the show. Like, he's composited really well. He never looks fake.
It's funny that, like, this Peacock show looks better than most Disney live-action remakes.
Oh, yeah, easily. He looks better than Stitch.
I was going to say, he looks better
Lilo and Stitch movie.
He looks better than, like, Stitch.
Yeah. Ted Sweep. Ted Sweep. That's cool. Do you have any other thoughts on anything?
Other than, it's great. I'm curious.
It's great.
I'm curious.
You said it like Mario.
I did say it like Mario. I'm curious to revisit the movies
Yeah.
Just to see them, like, because I thought they were fine. I thought they were
'Cause
decent.
when I was okay, because the first one's from like 2012.
2012.
That movie I said earlier was like, you could not have made something more appealing to like an 11-year-old.
Oh yeah.
Like that's middle school.
When I was
bait.
like 12, I was
I don't want. I don't want to say middle school bait. We're gonna roll that back. Sorry, go on.
When I was like fifth grade, sixth grade, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this looks cool. I want to watch this. Actually, same with Million Ways to Die in the West.
He's a teddy bear, but he smokes weed and swears. He says
Yeah.
fuck. This is so funny. And so
a lot of the marketing of the original Ted was from the creator of Family
Yes,
Guy. So
yeah,
I'm like,
exactly.
oh, that's how you can get someone like me.
No, it was. I totally went to school with so many kids who were like, "Yo, Ted, let's watch it at the sleepover." But I never saw it.
Oh, really? Okay.
No.
I
Somehow
I
I
grew up
avoided
watching
it.
this and Million Ways to Die in the West with my parents.
Did they like it?
They actually really liked Ted. They thought it was funny.
Okay. Did they like A Million Ways to Die in the West?
My dad did.
That-
Everybody else in the room was like,
You probably like
that movie's like, huh?
You probably like the farting scene.
Oh,
You probably thought that was so
Neil
funny.
Patrick Harris shitting
Yeah.
in a hat.
Yeah, you probably thought that was so funny.
I checked my watch while watching that scene when I was.
Oh
a kid.
my god, low tier farting scene?
That scene's like, you know how long that scene goes on for? Like 3 minutes.
What the fuck?
It's like it's like
Was
dragging.
that a fetish thing?
No, I think Seth MacFarlane just thought it was funny, and he just like the worst Family Guy jokes are when they drag shit out.
Oh yeah.
It's that.
It's when they
kind.
just pad for time.
It's just that.
Yeah.
And that movie's 2 hours.
Oh,
A comedy doesn't need to be 2 hours.
how many comedies are that long? Like real act, like full comedies, like that's their main thing.
The only one I can think of is Funny People, with Adam Sandler and Seth Rogen. That movie's like 2.5 hours long.
What the? I don't even think I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's like one of the longest
Adam Sandler
Adam
movie?
Sandler movies, and I'm like,
Is
an
it?
Adam Sandler movie does not need to be that long.
Have you seen it?
No, I just know
Okay.
about the runtime, and I've been told that like it does not need to be that long. That's what I've been told.
Okay.
So yeah, comedies do not need to be 2.5 hours or 2 hours long.
Very rarely can they justify that.
Yeah, Ted is like 100, like an hour and 40, which
Yeah.
like, that's fine.
That seems normal.
Both of those movies are like around that time, and I'm like, you don't need Seth MacFarlane. I love you, but you don't need to make a 2-hour movie. You don't need that. Like
He doesn't have
keep it to,
one
like,
song where he needs to be doing.
keep
all
it
that.
to like the Naked Gun reboot that you did. Where that was like under 90 minutes.
Yeah,
That's
that was.
perfect.
It was about 90, wasn't
It's
it?
about 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. That movie felt perfect length.
Yeah.
I walked out and I was like,
I'm happy.
that's perfectly fine. And it even had a totally unnecessary extraneous scene with the snowman.
Yeah.
They're like, we have time to spare.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah.
We're under budget.
Keep that. Ted. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the show.
Yeah. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
I think that's all I have to say in general about everything that we've watched.
Okay. We're over 3.5 hours now.
So we're at the length of A Million Ways to Die in the West.
And Project Hail Mary.
I guess,
Although it's a very long movie.
It was 3 hours. I guess you're right.
I don't mind long movies. I notice you're a little more resistant.
If you can justify the runtime.
Okay. You know what? I think I have a lower bar for justifying the runtime.
If you're Killers of
Then
the
you
Flower
do.
Moon, then like okay.
Okay.
Keep your
Yeah.
runtime.
Yeah.
I get
That's
it.
fair.
If it's A Million Ways to Die in the West, then I'm like, cut that shit immediately.
Yeah, I very rarely as long as the pacing is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm not saying Project
Hail Mary I think it's paced really well.
It's
personally.
It's well enough to where I was like,
Yeah.
I still have complaints, but you're fine.
Okay.
I get why you had that runtime.
Okay. That's fair.
Mm-hmm. I would personally still cut like just a little bit.
Oh,
But it's like
how long? How much?
10 minutes.
Oh, you love saying that. Cat loves dropping. You could take out 10 minutes. She loves that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want 10 more minutes.
Sure, fine.
You know, it's $1 per hour of gameplay. That's what I always say.
Yes, bro.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
That was crazy. You won a 60-hour game every game? That's wild.
That is crazy.
All right. You got anything else to talk about? Because I don't.
No.
I think we're gonna call this to a close now.
Yeah.
If you've been listening this far, thank you for listening to me and us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on the next video. As soon as I get home, I'm gonna be editing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can support me on Patreon. I have a coffee. If you have a question, feel free to leave it down in the comments, but please phrase it in the form of a question because I'm not just going to read your thoughts out loud. I have been Tygan.
I have been Kat.
Goodbye. You want to say goodbye together?
Sure, yeah.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Bye. We want to go eat?
Eat?
I'm hungry. Yeah, we have tons of food.
Okay, cool. I
All
didn't
right.
know if we stopped up.
Bye.